Chapter 619. June 15, Lanyan City, Re-establishment Ceremony. The periphery of the Zetian Palace was officially open to the commoners, so much so that it was almost overcrowded. Over 100,000 commoners gathered at the periphery of the Zetian Palace's square, waiting for the crowning ceremony. Inside the palace, all the officials were silent. The throne was empty, the divine weapon was not wielded by anyone, and the two kings, Feng Jixing and Qin Yan, were only holding their weapons and standing at the foot of the throne. Xiang Yu, Zhen Yifan, Su Yu, and the others had grave expressions. Although they had already wiped out the rebels of Iha country and repelled the demon race, Qin Yin was already dead, Lin Muyu and Tang Xiaoxi's whereabouts were unknown. The empire's territory was unified, but the people's hearts were not. This was something that they could not be happy about no matter what. "Are you ready, Ah Yen?" Feng Jixing asked in a low voice. "Yes." Qin Yan was a little nervous. He gripped the hilt of his sword tightly, and at the same time, tightened the chain on his armor a little. Feng Jixing smiled slightly and said, "Duke Zhong, let's go out. The people of the world have been waiting for a long time. There shouldn't be a problem for you to summon them, right?" Zheng Yifan said respectfully, "Your Highness Prince Xian, this is this old subject's honor." "Yes, let's go, Ah Yen." Feng Jixing lightly bumped Qin Yan's shoulder and walked out of the palace with him. In this world, the two kings, Feng Jixing and Qin Yan, had the highest authority. Of course, the real ruler was Lin Muyu, who was sleeping in the blood-red abyss. Feng Jixing was Prince Xian, Qin Yan was Prince Zhong, and Lin Muyu's title was the Qin Wang. It was obvious who was the real ruler of the empire. When Feng Jixing and Qin Yan walked out of the main hall in their golden cloaks, the sea of people outside instantly burst into cheers. The empire's commoners had suffered from the war, and now they had finally welcomed the unification of the empire. They had finally chased away the cruel devil race. This was the result they had been waiting for a long time. After the two kings, Xiang Yu, Luo Xian, Wei Chou, and the others followed one by one. When the group of ministers came to the altar outside the palace, Zheng Yifan, wearing a purple robe and holding a golden imperial edict, came to the front. He raised the imperial edict, and imbued his voice with the power of the holy domain. He said loudly, "By the emperor's decree." Immediately, the tens of thousands of imperial guards outside the palace knelt down, and the civilians in the distance also knelt down. Zheng Yifan opened the scroll and read with a penetrating voice, "Her Highness the Empress Qin Yin has ascended to cultivate, and specially ordered the three kings to rule the world on her behalf. The commander of the brave Dragon Legion, Lin Muyu, is the foster son of the former emperor and the empress's foster brother, has outstanding military service and is famous throughout the world. She is conferred the title of Qin Wang. The commander of the Imperial Guards, Feng Jixing, has performed meritorious service in eliminating the Lingnan rebels. She is conferred the title of Prince Xian, and will guard the southern border. The commander of the Imperial Guards, Qin Yan, is the son of Prince Ji Ning, Qinan. He has the bloodline of the great Qin, and has performed meritorious service in recovering the Tianshu province. She is conferred the title of Prince Zhong, and will guard the northern border." Feng Jixing and Qin Yan knelt down together. The female official, Shengguan Jingyue, walked forward, holding the sword seals of the kings, and bestowed them one by one. Feng Jixing held the seal, and his heart was filled with mixed feelings. If he could choose, he would rather continue to be the commander of the Imperial Guards under Xiaoyao. But now that Qin Yin had passed away and Lin Muyu wasn't around, if he didn't stand up, the Qin Empire would inevitably be stolen by others. At the very least, before Qin Yin and Lin Muyu return, he had to take care of this huge empire on their behalf. Qin Yan's face was slightly excited. After all, a man should be able to establish meritorious service in this world. Now that his title of nobility had reached the pinnacle, if his father and elder brother were still alive, they should be proud of their current status, right? Zheng Yifan took another imperial edict, and continued to read loudly. Marquis of Pingnan, Xiangyu, is conferred the title of Duke of Southern, guarding Mingshan Province. Luo Xian, the adopted son of Yunzhong King, is conferred the title of Duke of Northern, guarding Yunzhong Province. Wei Chou, the deputy commander of Valiant Dragon Army, is conferred the title of Duke of Wei, guarding Lingdong Province. Zheng Yifan, the title of Divine Marquis, is conferred the title of Duke of Zhonghua, guarding Qihai Province. Xiangyu, Luo Xian, and Wei Chou knelt down one after another, and Shengguan Jingyue once again bestowed them with new Duke sword seals. Zheng Yifan paused for a moment, then said loudly again, Su Jiantao is conferred the title of Marquis of Tsangnan, guarding Tsangnan Province. Baili Tsang is conferred the title of Marquis of Tsanghai, commanding the Empire's navy. Tang Zhen is conferred the title of Marquis of Zhenxi, commanding the Zhenghua army. Yao Yuan is still the title of Marquis of Jinghai, guarding Linкong Province. Su Yu is conferred the title of Marquis of Xining, guarding Tianshu Province. All the marquises must do their best to assist the three princes in ruling the world. The five of them knelt down one after another, accepting the conferment. 3 princes, 4 dukes, and 5 marquises. From then on, the new ruling structure of the Qin Empire was forged, and it was precisely this structure that allowed the Qin Empire to be peaceful for more than 10 years. Following that, they conferred the titles of various ministers, assistant ministers, and so on. The entire empire had a brand new look. At night, a banquet was set up in Zetian Hall to entertain the ministers. Zetian Hall was still the same as before, just that there was no master. After the conferment ceremony, Feng Jixing would soon return to Sunset City to train the troops and guard the southern border. Qin Yan, on the other hand, would be in charge of the military deployment of the entire Northern Ridge Province's 8 major provinces. As Duke Wei, Wei Chou was also the commander of the Longdan army camp. His task was the heaviest. He had to go to Lingdong province, rebuild Lingdong, contend against, and exterminate the demon race. As they toasted each other, everyone drank too much. The weather in June was already very hot, and a group of ministers staggered from drinking. Everyone knew that the empire no longer had an emperor and only had 3 princes. Duke Wei Chou held onto a wine cup that was half spilled and came out of the hall. He sat down under a stone pillar and looked at the bright moon in the sky, feeling tipsy. When he thought of Qin Yin's death and Tang Xiaoxi's disappearance, Lin Muyu's heart was like dead ashes, and tears rolled down uncontrollably. He didn't feel any honor or favor from being promoted to Duke Wei, only bitterness. Duke Wei is hiding here and crying by himself. How does this look? Feng Jixing's voice rang out from behind. His armor was draped with the duke's gilded cloak, and he held on to the golden Ju in his hand. He sat down next to Wei Chou and looked toward the south, listening to the musicians playing music in the palace behind him. Feng Jixing couldn't help but feel desolate in his heart. His eyes turned red, and he turned away to wipe away his tears. It was true that there was nothing to be happy about. Wei Chou smiled. Prince Xian, why have you come? It's better if you just call me General Feng. Feng Jixing raised his head and drank the top-grade snowflower wine in the golden Ju. He said, Wei Chou, although our empire now has powerful weapons like the magic crystal cannons, we still mustn't underestimate the devil race. I think you know better than anyone else how terrifying the devil race's huge flying snakes are. The Longdan army camp has entered deep into the wintering province alone. Our plan is only to defend and not take the initiative to provoke an attack. We mustn't underestimate Qianfeng. I understand. It's just that the Longdan army camp has suffered severe casualties. It'll probably be hard for us to face the devil race alone. Don't worry about that. Feng Jixing smiled and said, during this month, I'll select soldiers who have gone through hundreds of battles from the hundreds of thousands of elite soldiers in Lingnan to replenish the Longdan army camp. We'll expand the Longdan army camp to 100,000 people and become the real #1 army. Apart from that, I've discussed it with Yen and will give you a reserve army of 100,000 people for you to train. We'll prepare all the strategic resources that the Wintering Province needs and send them to the Wintering Province endlessly from Lingnan and Lingbei. That's great. Feng Jixing patted his shoulder and smiled. Wei Chou, you're able to become the commander-in-chief of an army of 200,000 at such a young age. You have a great future ahead of you. Make good use of this rare opportunity. However, Wei Chou felt a little sad and said, I'd rather continue to be that general under the Lord Commander. People have to grow. This is your cultivation. Feng Jixing took a long look at him and said, before you returns, you'll be his incarnation. You should understand. I know, Wei Chou took in a deep breath and asked, General Feng, as Prince Xian, you're going to head over to Lingnan soon. However, the chaos in Lingnan has just been pacified. Do you have the confidence to rule over Lingnan? Don't worry. Feng Jixing said confidently, the 300,000 elite soldiers from Seven Seas City are all in my hands. They'll be enough to guard Lingnan. Moreover, quite a number of the commanders from the Seven Seas City army have become my trusted subordinates. You don't have to worry about this. That's good. Just then, a young general walked over with a wine glass in his hand. He had 3 golden stars on his collar and was a commander. He smiled respectfully and said, Prince Xian, why have you come out? Our brothers are waiting for you to drink. I'll be right there. Feng Jixing laughed out loud and said, Wei Chou, let me introduce him to you. This young general is Chen Xiaoli, the son of Chen Chong, the commander of the Seven Seas City's Jianghu army. Ever since Commander Chen Chong died in battle, he has taken over as the commander of the Jianghu army. Although he's young, he's a talented general who can hold his own. When Chen Xiaoli saw Wei Chou, his eyes lit up. He cupped his fists and said respectfully, I, Chen Xiaoli, pay my respects to Duke Wei. Commander Chen, there's no need to stand on ceremony. Wei Chou returned the Empire's military salute and said, Prince Xian has such a young and capable general under you. It seems that my worries are a little unnecessary. Feng Jixing said, Commander Chen, you can go back and drink first. I'll be back after chatting a little more with Wei Chou. Yes, Prince Xian. Come quickly. Go ahead. Feng Jixing turned around, and his smiling face was replaced with a solemn expression. He said, Wei Chou, there's still something I need you to do in Lingdong province this time around. Oh, what is it? We've received a secret report saying that a farmer saw Princess Xi in the fields of Lingdong province. She's imprisoned in a huge crystal and is unconscious. What? Princess Xi? Wei Chou stood up abruptly and said, This. How is this possible? Didn't they say that Princess Xi is dead? From the looks of it, Princess Xi isn't dead. Feng Jixing muttered to himself and said, I can't sense Yu's aura in the Crimson Abyss anymore. He should have entered a state of deep sleep. There are only 2 people in this world who can awaken you. One is Her Highness Yin, but she's no longer around. The other is Princess Xi. As long as we can find Princess Xi, we'll be able to awaken you. Princess Xi is most likely with the devil race. Go and ask around. I understand. Feng Jixing nodded, and a gleam of light shot out from his eyes. He said, I also want to ask Tang Xiaoxi why she would be so ruthless to kill Her Highness Qin Yin. Chapter 620. To the north of Tongtian province, after crossing an invisible sky curtain, all living things came back to life. Demon cities towered between the mountains and valleys. Pedestrians came and went in an endless stream. There were winged hunters out hunting, and human farmers with hoes on their shoulders. In the past few years, the demon race had constantly migrated from Tongtian Province and Lingdong Province, and humans moved to Tongtian Gorge. Now, this endless gorge had become a place where the demon race and humans lived together. Half a year ago, the Demon King issued the Holy Demon Code, drawing up a treaty between the demon race and humans. No demon race could attack humans without permission, and no human race could attack the demon race without permission. Since then, the Tongtian Gorge, which was like spring all year round, had become a fertile field, flourishing day by day. Chengdu, a splendid capital city, stood between the mountains on the east side of Tongtian Gorge. A large number of high-level demon soldiers were stationed here, and there were even dozens of temporary sentry camps set up 10 miles away from Chengdu. Cavalry came and went constantly, and the earth-shaking roars of the armor demons could be heard from one side of the gorge. A cool breeze blew past, causing his cloak to flutter. Qianfeng wore a golden cloak, his hand on the sword at his waist. His starry eyes watched the demon race training in the gorge, and he couldn't help but sigh. Beside him, Lian Fu said, "Marshal, why are you sighing?" Qianfeng pointed at the tens of thousands of armor demons training in the gorge. Can such strong shields and sharp blades really block the humans' magic crystal cannons? This, Lian Fu nodded and muttered, "We have to take it step by step. Marshal, this subordinate has already sent some high-level gods who are proficient in human dialects into the territory of Lanyan City. As long as there is a chance, we will definitely obtain some technical information about the magic crystal cannons. If we can also master the magic crystal cannons, why should we fear the Empire? The Empire is growing stronger day by day. The Iha nation has been destroyed, and the god race will be the Empire's #1 enemy. The Empire is also our only enemy on this continent." Qianfeng rubbed his temples, looking a little tired. "Is there any news of Lin Muyu?" "Yes." Lian Fu cupped his fists and said, "After Yaoji bewitched the witch Tang Xiaoxi in Bailing City and successfully killed Qin Yin, Lin Muyu rushed to the Scarlet Abyss. When she saw the remains of Qin Yin, she was very sad and destroyed herself in the Scarlet Abyss. Her body turned into stone, and now she has become a stone statue, sealed in the mountains. Marshal, you don't have to worry about her." Sigh. Qianfeng was at a loss. Lin Muyu loved Qin Yin very much, and I also fell in love with Qin Yin at first sight, but I couldn't stop the Divine Emperor and the Sacred Master's plan, and could only watch as Tang Xiaoxi killed Qin Yin. Am I not fit to talk about feelings with humans? No, Marshal, you don't have to blame yourself. You are the Marshal of the God race and bear the future of the God race. Naturally, you can't let your emotions affect your decisions. Let's go. Let's go check on the Demoness. Yes. The two warhorses galloped towards the divine capital. Not long after, they arrived at the main hall. However, Qianfeng and Lian Fu didn't enter the hall. Instead, they went around the door and came to the rock behind the hall. A group of guards saluted them. The moss-covered rock slowly opened up to reveal a secret door. Qianfeng and Lian Fu went straight in. After entering the secret room, a high-ranked demon held a torch and led the way. He respectfully said, "Marshal, His Majesty the Divine Emperor and the Sacred Master are also here." "Oh, that's for the best." Twisting and turning until they reached the depths of the mountain, the front suddenly opened up. They saw stone statues that were several meters tall standing in the surroundings. Each of their faces were fierce and lifelike, just like a demon god descending to the world. It was said that these stone statues were the heroes of the ancient god race. At least, that was what the ancient book said. Therefore, these demon gods naturally became the totem of the god race. Surrounded by dozens of totems, there was a huge azure crystal in the center of the hall. It was 10 meters tall, and there were streams of fiery red energy surging within it. One could vaguely see a graceful girl imprisoned in the ice crystal. The fiery red energy seeped out along the ice crystal, and then was absorbed by a strange tube and sent to the other side of the mountain. Two people stood under the crystal. One was the Divine Emperor, and the other was the heavily injured Sacred Master. The Sacred Master was sitting in a chair carried by two high-ranked demon soldiers. Marshal Qianfeng has arrived. Oh. The Divine Emperor turned around and put on a gentle smile. Qianfeng, you've arrived? Greetings, Your Majesty. Qianfeng and Lian Jin knelt together and stood up. Qianfeng looked at Tang Xiaoxi in the crystal and said, Your Majesty, how's the refinement of the demon lady's power? It seems to be going well. The Divine Emperor smiled faintly, his eagle-like eyes gleaming with greed. No, it's far from enough. Tang Xiaoxi is a demoness fated by the heavens. The demonic energy in her body is endless, and only this kind of demonic energy can continue to nourish the demonic energy in the insectoid hive, allowing it to incubate the savage beasts from the other dimension for us. Unfortunately, the degree of refinement is far from enough. We can only use less than 10% of Tang Xiaoxi's demonic energy. Is that so? Qianfeng raised his head and stared at Tang Xiaoxi, only to see her eyebrows tightly furrowed, as if she was enduring a great deal of pain. The energy in her body was slowly being sucked out, one could well imagine the pain. However, Qianfeng had been through hundreds of battles and had already honed a heart of steel. He said calmly, as long as Tang Xiaoxi's mind is not clear, her ability to restrain the power in her body will become weaker and weaker. This powerful demonic power will definitely be used by us. Yes. The Divine Emperor nodded. Sacred Master, how's the mind manipulation art? Sage Master sat on the chair and slowly said, Your Majesty, my ability is still not enough to restrain Tang Xiaoxi. Her psyche power and heart power are too strong, and the demonic power in her body far surpasses mine. I still need some time. Very well. Mind manipulation art? Qianfeng was surprised. Sacred Master, are you trying to control Tang Xiaoxi's mind? That's right. The corners of the Sage Master's mouth curled up, revealing a rather ferocious smile as he said, Tang Xiaoxi has the 9 tails of destiny. Her tyrannical demonic energy is enough to move unhindered through the 3 realms and be unparalleled in the world. If this kind of power can be used by our god race, its effect is no less than 100 giant flying snakes and 100,000 armored demons. Qianfeng was startled. He wanted to say something but stopped himself. The Demon King smiled. Qianfeng, I know you are kind, but the future of the celestial race is in our hands. Now is not the time to be merciful. Tang Xiaoxi is a human. It would be great if we could use her. Oh, is there any news from the Empire? Yes. Qianfeng respectfully said, the humans have conferred 3 kings. Qin Wang Lin Muyu, Xian Wang Feng Jixing, and Zhong Wang Qin Yen will rule the world together. However, Lin Muyu has turned into a rotten rock in the Crimson Blood Abyss. There is nothing to worry about. Now, we need to guard against the famous General Feng Jixing. In addition, Lin Muyu's subordinate Wei Chou has been conferred the title of Duke Wei. He will soon enter the Lingdong province to deal with the celestial race. We have to guard against him. Wei Chou has been following Lin Muyu for a long time. He is well versed in the art of war and has a strategic mind. This person must be eliminated. The Demon King couldn't help but smile. Sage Sovereign, did you hear that? Quickly practice your mind manipulation skill. We need Witch Tang Xiaoxi's power. Once she is used by the celestial race, her first mission is to head to the Lingdong province and kill Duke Wei Chou in front of everyone. This will chill the morale of the Empire and cause us to collapse. Yes, this subordinate will definitely practice harder. Go do what you need to do. Yes. After everyone dispersed, only the Nephilim King was left standing under the ice crystal. He stared fixedly at the unconscious Tang Xiaoxi in the ice crystal. Suddenly, the Nephilim King's voice became gentle and his face was filled with a demonic smile as he said, Which Tang Xiaoxi? Heh, Humans call me Nephilim King, but I call you witch. Our fate is really predestined. My good daughter, quickly wake up and conquer the world for your father. Reclaim the Middle Earth. In Lanyan City, the brilliant starlight shone down on the city. In a small courtyard of the Imperial Guards, a beautiful young lady stared at the swaying pomegranate tree in a daze. Her eyes were filled with indescribable loneliness and helplessness. The last battle between the celestial race and the humans was a year ago, but there was no news from the Tongtian Gorge. It was as if they had forgotten about her. Your Highness Ning, Prince Xian Feng Jixing has come to visit, a maid said at the side. All right, General Feng, please come to the hall for a chat. Yes. Feng Jixing wasn't the only one who came. Duke Wei Weichou, Situ Sun, Situ Shui, Fengxi, Su Yu, and the others were also there. General Feng, is there news of my father? Feng Ning, asked hopefully. No. Feng Jixing cupped his fists and said, please forgive me, Your Highness Ning, This time around, I'm not here to send you to the Tongtian Gorge. Instead, I'm here to send you to the Lingdong Province's Winterfrost City. Oh, Winterfrost City? Feng Ning, was stunned. Why are you sending me to Winterfrost City? Because Winterfrost City is closer to the Immortal's capital. Wei Chou smiled faintly. We're worried that Your Highness is homesick. Therefore, Wei Chou will personally escort Your Highness Ning, to Winterfrost City. This way, it'll be more convenient for you to travel to and from the Tongtian Gorge. Perhaps Your Highness Ning will even be able to see your father, whom you've been thinking about day and night. Feng Ning, instantly felt a chill in her heart. Although she was young and inexperienced, she had been imprisoned in Lanyan City for 3 years. How could she not know what kind of mutual deception was? Now that Feng Jixing and Wei Chou had said this, Feng Ning immediately understood. She was only going to Winterfrost City as bait. Once the devil race learned that she was in Winterfrost City, they would definitely send an army to attack. Then, the devil race would definitely be greeted by countless magic crystal cannons in the Longdan army camp. This was not a caring and considerate act, but a vicious plan to destroy the devil race. No, I'm used to life in Lanyan City. I don't want to leave anymore, Feng Ning said. That's not up to Your Highness. Feng Jixing slowly stood up and said, we'll set off tomorrow morning. Your Highness Ning, will follow Duke Wei and the army to Winterfrost City. Yes. Everyone cupped their fists and Feng Ning could only smile bitterly. Then, where is Commander Yu? She suddenly asked. Chapter 621. Howl. In the Crimson Abyss, a dragon's howl came from a crack in the rocks deep within the mountain. The space was slowly torn open, and a Catasaurus poked its head out. Its claws quickly scratched at the edge of the crack, widening the crack. Then, it curled up its body and moved out. It was dark inside the mountain. There was not much space to begin with, and its arrival made the place even more crowded. Howl, another soft howl sounded. A Catasaurus coiled its body and hugged a stone statue in its arms. The statue was in the posture of a fist landing on the ground. It was the same posture that Lin Muyu was in when she was in a deep sleep. A Catasaurus sensed the connection between their souls and rubbed its head intimately against the stone. However, the stone was cold and did not respond at all. As if it felt that the place was too crowded, a Catasaurus suddenly waved its claws, turning the rocks into gravel and throwing them into the space crack behind it. It wanted to create a spacious living environment for its master. Perhaps, in this world, only a Catasaurus thought that Lin Muyu, who had turned into stone, was still alive. Howl. After digging out a tunnel that was several meters long, a Catasaurus cried out to its master happily, but Lin Muyu still did not respond. A Catasaurus was not discouraged and continued to dig. Soon, the tunnel extended all the way up to the base of the mountain. It was nearly 100 meters long. Acatosaurus happily dug a hole, twisting its body like a loach that had finally entered the mud after many months. Pieces of gravel fell and hit the poor stone that Lin Muyu had turned into. Finally, when Acatosaurus dug out the tunnel, the night sky shone a ray of starlight on the stone that Lin Muyu had turned into. Suddenly, a stream of astral power surged out of the stone, as if responding to the stars in the sky. Howl! Acatosaurus returned to its master's side, coiled its body around its master's body, and fell into a deep sleep. Half a month later, in the northeastern region of the High Sky Province, Sunji Mountain. Galloping sounds of horses' hooves could be heard, and the Prince Xin army's war flag fluttered in the wind. This was the final battle between the Empire and the Iha country on land. Feng Jixing had personally led 200,000 elite troops here, and in the mountains were the troops left behind by the Iha country. Qin Huan was leading several 10,000 elite troops. Qin Huan had been waiting for his father's orders all this while. It was a pity that Qin Yi had already been defeated and had fled to the sea. How could he still care about this son of his? The Sun Halberd Mountain was a mountain range that was 20 li long. The mountain paths were winding and dangerous, making it easy to defend and difficult to attack. The war flags of the Iha Empire fluttered all over the mountain, and from the looks of it, there seemed to be 100,000 soldiers at the foot of the mountain. Feng Jixing gripped his wind cutter and urged his horse to run around the foot of the mountain. His gaze was fixed on every angle and terrain of the mountain. Behind him, Zhang Wei, Chen Xiaoli, Luo Yu and the rest followed closely behind. "Sir, do you understand?" Zhang Wei asked. "I understand." "Then when do we attack the mountain?" "There's no hurry to attack the mountain." Feng Jixing said calmly, "Qin Huan's men have been guarding this place for 1 year, and there shouldn't be much rations left. Pass down my orders to surround the Sun Halberd Mountain and cut off the water source. In less than half a month, Qin Huan will definitely lead his army down the mountain. When that time comes, we'll just have to greet them with the magic crystal cannons." "Yes." On the Sun Halberd Mountain, Qin Huan was also leading a group of subordinates on a patrol. He looked at the Empire's camp from afar, and the more he looked, the colder his heart became. Qin Huan and the others knew that this time around, Feng Jixing's main forces had come personally. They weren't the motley crew that the Empire's officials had sent to suppress the bandits. The Empire had been busy attacking Long Qianlin and Ding Shi's armies and had neglected Qin Huan's remaining troops. Now that Feng Jixing had finally taken the time to personally come and annihilate them. "It's over." Qin Huan mumbled. "Your Highness." An old general cupped his fists and said, "The troops Feng Jixing is leading have at least 200,000 men, but they've come from afar and are all exhausted. I heard that the Empire has set the national policy of 3 kings ruling the world in Lanyan City. As Prince Xian, Feng Jixing has always been the #1 person in the Empire after Lin Muyu's disappearance. This time around, he'll definitely be a proud soldier. Why don't you pass down the order for the 3 armies to get ready? Once the sky turns dark, we'll charge down from the high ground and catch them off guard. We'll charge out of the encirclement with our valuables, seize the transport ships along the coast of Linghan City, and head to the dragon-shaped island to meet up with the great commander. What do you think?" Qin Huan took a deep breath. His face was full of confusion as he said, "Old General, don't you know our situation? Ever since we separated from our father a year ago, we haven't had any reinforcements. We've also been lacking in rations, medicine, water, and so on. In this year, more than 20,000 people have died of illness, and there are tens of thousands of deserters. Now, we only have less than 50,000 men in our hands. We've also consumed more than half of our warhorses, leaving us with less than 20,000. The army that fought against Yao Yuan half a year ago had also almost used up all the embryos of the Heavenly Book. How are we going to fight against Feng Jixing's elite troops now?" "But..." The old general pondered and said, "If we don't try to fight, I'm afraid we won't even have a chance to survive. Feng Jixing is much more powerful than we imagined. He'll definitely cut off our water supply and force us to fight with thirst. By then, we'll definitely be defeated. We might even end up being annihilated. Please don't worry, Your Highness. Another captaincy said in a low voice. We still have a chance of survival if we fight our way out of the encirclement. Your Highness, please give the order. Another high-ranking general said. The group of more than 20 generals knelt down and said, "We're willing to follow Your Highness and fight to the death." Qin Huan was trembling all over. His face was full of confusion and fear as he said, "Feng Jixing is so powerful. We don't have a chance. Iha nation is finished. Don't say anything more. Drag it out as long as you can. It's always good to live for a few more days, sigh." An old general gritted his teeth and walked forward. Suddenly, he took advantage of Qin Huan's unguarded moment and struck him from behind. Bam! Qin Huan instantly fainted. Old General Luo, what are you doing? The group of generals was dumbfounded. The old general held Qin Huan under his armpit and said, "Your Highness has been scared out of his wits. We must protect Your Highness and fight our way out of here. We must protect the bloodline of Commander Qin Yi. Everyone, follow my order. When the moon rises, immediately launch an attack. If we take the initiative to attack, we might be able to catch Feng Jixing off guard." Yes. After nightfall, torches were suddenly lit up on the mountain. Countless soldiers in Iha Nation's military uniforms charged down from the mountain. Their warhorses galloped at full speed. Immediately, Feng Jixing's front line was caught off guard. At least 1,000 people were killed. TSK, in the camp at the foot of the mountain, Zhang Wei looked at the torches in the distance and said, "What a good Qin Huan. He actually dared to break out." No. Feng Jixing squinted his eyes and said with a smile, "Qin Huan was already scared out of his wits. He was forced to break out of the encirclement. Didn't you see that Qin Huan was carried down the mountain by an old general?" Luo Yu asked, "Commander, should we attack with the magic crystal cannons?" "No, don't be hasty." Feng Jixing raised his hand and said, "Use the arrow boxes and ballistae to shoot for a while. Let Qin Huan and the others at the front pass. Then, use the magic crystal cannons to intercept the troops at the back. Order people to spread the word that those who surrender will not be killed. Hand over their weapons and escort them back to Sunset City to be reorganized. Most of these people are just soldiers who fight for the army's pay. There is no need to kill them all." "Yes." "Then, are we going to let Qin Huan go?" "Yes." The corner of Feng Jixing's mouth curled up as he smiled. A mere battle formation scared him to the point of losing his mind. Let's return this kind of trash to Qin Yi. Once Qin Yi is dead and Qin Huan takes over, that will be the time for us to attack Dragon Island. As he spoke, a cold glint flashed past Feng Jixing's eyes. The Imperial Army had crossed the sea to attack Dragon Island but suffered a crushing defeat. This was a humiliation that was hard to wash away for Feng Jixing. He had to raise Dragon Island to appease the hatred in his heart. However, there were famous generals like Long Qianlin and Ding Shi on Dragon Island. It was truly a thorny problem. They wouldn't be able to take it down in a short period of time. The sound of the arrow boxes and ballistae springs rang out incessantly. The sharp arrows seemed to have eyes of their own, only killing the middle and low-ranking officers while letting Qin Huan and the others off. When Qin Huan's main forces arrived, the magic crystal cannons were finally activated. Many purple mushroom clouds soared up into the sky from the mountain range. The destructive prowess was extremely astonishing, and in the blink of an eye, the small mountain path had turned into a living hell. After a round of bombardment, how could the Iha country soldiers still dare to go down the mountain? All of them were dumbfounded. Just then, a person rode up the mountain, holding onto a wind cutter. It was Feng Jixing. His golden battle robes fluttered, and Feng Jixing raised his battle blade and bellowed, "I'm the Empire's Prince Xian, Feng Jixing. You guys were originally the Empire's soldiers, but you were bewitched by Qin Yi and became rebels. I'll give you a chance now. Put down your weapons and accept the Empire's army to take you in again. We'll spare your lives, but those who resist will definitely have their 9 generations annihilated." All the soldiers chose to surrender. It would be too foolish to resist now. After all, survival was the most important thing. As for moral integrity, they could just say it to others and not take it seriously. Before dawn, over 40,000 soldiers from the Iha country came down the mountain to surrender. Feng Jixing then reorganized them one by one and scattered them into the Empire's army. With that, the Iha country's influence had officially withdrawn from the stage of the continent's struggle for hegemony. At the same time, to the north of Winterfrost City, a new metal protective wall was being built. Wei Chou, Situ Sun, and the others were personally supervising the construction. The entire metal protective wall was 500 li long, spanning across the entire Lingdong province's northern territory. It was connected to the sea in the east and the Cloud Refinement mountain range in the west. Every 5 li, a magic crystal cannon would be set up to defend against the demonic race's invasion. This was the Empire's new war plan. With the metal protective wall in Lingdong province as the defensive line and the demonic race's Princess Feng Ning, as the bait, they would attract the demonic race to attack and deplete their strength. In Lanyan City, Qin Yan was in charge and Su Er was in charge. It was as if the entire empire was entering a new era of prosperity. Chapter 622. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, 4 years had passed. The mountains in the Blood Abyss were continuous, weathered by wind and rain, and had long been covered with a thick layer of vegetation. Moreover, the spiritual energy in the mountains was vigorous, and many rare herbs grew. Cloud deer, badgers, and other animals traversed the mountains, making this forest a treasure land for hunters and medicine masters. However, there was a legend that said there was an immortal in the mountains. The sun and moon shone together, and he was immortal. He was proficient in spiritual spells and had many transformations. However, no one had ever seen such an immortal. It was the rainy season again. Rainwater dripped down into the forest and flowed along the green leaves into the grass, moistening the soil. On the cliff between the mountains, a figure could be faintly seen climbing up the cliff. It was a white-haired old man, carrying a small bamboo basket on his back, which contained a bunch of herbs. The old man's face was slightly red. He used the shovel to carefully poke at the roots of the herbs, afraid that he would hurt the roots and affect the medicinal properties of the herbs. About 10 meters below the cliff, a girl about 4 or 5 years old in green clothes looked up at the old man. Her big, watery eyes sparkled. She cupped her hands around her mouth and said softly, "Grandpa, be careful." The old man laughed. "Mengyi, don't run around. Grandpa will come down after I pick this dragon grass." "Be careful," the girl pouted, as if she was not satisfied with her grandpa taking such a risk to pick herbs. In the blink of an eye, the dragon grass was pulled out by the old man. He held the protruding part of the rock with one hand and carefully threw the dragon grass into the bamboo basket with the other. Then, he walked down the cliff step by step. However, the cliff was very slippery. About 3 meters above the ground, the old man suddenly missed a step and fell. Bang! Fortunately, there was grass below, but the old man was still hurt by the rocks in the grass. He gritted his teeth and cried out in pain. The girl hurried forward and supported the old man. "Grandpa, where are you hurt, where are you hurt?" Seeing the girl's worried look, the old man endured the pain and laughed. He caressed the girl's braid and said, "Grandpa is fine. I'm just teasing you. Mengyi, let's go." This dragon grass can be sold for a good price in the medicine shops in Bailing City. Maybe 20 Jianghu coins. Then, I can buy a lot of candied fruits for you. Woo, the girl nodded. Her big eyes seemed to be able to speak. She held the old man's hand and walked out of the blood abyss step by step. 100 Ridge City was rebuilt to the south of the ruins, 50 miles away from the blood-red abyss. It had been reduced from a famous city with a population of 3 million to a small city with a population of less than 200,000. Most of the residents had been scattered to Sunset City and Shenyang City. This was also the reason why Feng Jixing had chosen Sunset City as the capital of Lingnan. In the rebuilt 100 Ridge City, there were groups of merchants. Before sunset the next day, the old man and the girl appeared in the city. The old man's name was Li Shu. He was a Jianghu doctor who collected and sold herbs for a living. He had a granddaughter in his old age, so he named her Li Mengye, which came from the dream leaf grass. Li Mengye held her grandpa's hand tightly. She knew that the dragon grass in the bamboo basket on her grandpa's back would be the family's income for the whole year. Her mother had fallen ill after giving birth to her and was bedridden for 5 years. Her grandpa was old and did not have much time to collect herbs. Moreover, her grandpa's alchemy skills were not good enough to extract the medicinal essence of the dragon grass to refine medicine. Therefore, he could only sell the herbs to make money. This dragon grass was the first valuable herb they had collected in the past 3 months. South Town Pharmacy, a pharmacy with only a shopkeeper. It was also one of the dozens of pharmacies in the small city. In the past, Li Shu would sell the herbs he collected from here. Oh, Uncle Li is here. The shopkeeper of the pharmacy was a fat man. His weight was at least 150 kilograms, making his 1.6-meter body look very plump and round. His eyes swept across Li Shu's bamboo basket and instantly lit up. He smiled and said, "Are you here to sell medicine and rice again?" "Yes." Li Shu put down the bamboo basket and carefully took out the dragon grass. He said, "The roots of this dragon grass are plump. It should have been growing for a few years. Shopkeeper Lu, give me a good price." "Oh, you picked this in the bloody abyss, right? I heard that there are swift wolves in the bloody abyss. It's not easy for them to not tear your old bones to shreds." Shopkeeper Lu casually took the dragon grass and said, "The medicinal essence is indeed good. The medicinal essence is full. How about this, I'll give you 10 Jianghu coins." "What? Only 10 Jianghu coins?" Li Shu was stunned. He said, "Shopkeeper Lu, the dragon grass that Virtue Fortune Pharmacy bought half a month ago was 20 Jianghu coins each. Moreover, those dragon grass are definitely not as full as this one. You see, I'm here to earn money to feed my family and cure my illnesses. I'm here to sell my herbs so that I don't have to pay the transaction fees. You see, I have a family of old and young, so please don't cheat me. If that's the case, I might as well sell my herbs at the trading firm." "Humph, old man, you really know how to talk." Shopkeeper Lu's eyes were filled with impatience. He said, Here are 30 Jianghu coins. That should be enough for this dragon grass, right?" After counting the Jianghu coins, Li Shu's eyes were instantly filled with smiles. He took out one of the Jianghu coins and said, "Shopkeeper Lu, look, I want to buy a roasted chicken for my granddaughter. Can you help me convert this Jianghu coin into 100 silver coins?" "Thank you. So troublesome." Shopkeeper Lu took out a money bag impatiently. It was heavy with 100 silver coins. He said, "Here, take it. Hurry up and leave. Don't be an eyesore in front of my shop." "Thank you, Shopkeeper Lu." Li Shu held Li Mengye's hand and walked out of the pharmacy with a smile. He bought a bamboo leaf chicken from a stall and handed it to Li Mengye. He smiled and said, eat it, eat it. The rest of the money is for your mother's medicine. Li Mengye happily hugged the chicken and took a bite. Her smile became even more joyful. Grandpa, it's so delicious. Then eat more. However, the little girl tore off a delicious chicken leg and handed it to the old man. She smiled like a flower and said, Grandpa, let's eat together. Li Shu was stunned. Grandpa is not hungry. Mengye is hungry, so Grandpa must be hungry too. If Grandpa doesn't eat, I won't eat either. The little girl blinked her big eyes and said sensibly. The old man was very touched. He took the chicken leg and ate it bite by bite. The little girl just looked at him, as if she was afraid that her grandpa would lie to her and hide the chicken leg for her. After turning a corner, 3 shifty-eyed men stared at Li Shu from afar. After all, 30 Jinin coins was not a small amount. It was enough for a family of 10 to eat and drink for several years. Second brother, do it. It's a little kid and an old man. Do it as soon as they enter the alley. One of the gangsters with a mustache said. All right, do it. The old man who walked into the alley did not expect his misfortune to come. He suddenly suffered a heavy blow on the back of his head and the money bag on his waist was quickly snatched away. He wanted to scream but could not. Instead, it was the little girl who screamed and grabbed the leg of one of the gangsters. She shouted, Bad guy, put down Grandpa's money. Someone come and catch the bad guy, catch the bad guy. Get out of my way. The gangster kicked Li Mengye's hand away and stepped on her neck. The little girl's face instantly turned red. Let go of my granddaughter. Li Shu hurried forward and rammed into the gangster's waist from behind. Die, old man. Another gangster swung a bamboo stick and hit the old man's leg heavily. Kacha, the sound of bones breaking could be heard. The old man's leg had been broken. Grandpa, let go of my grandpa. The little girl cried. The gangsters looked at each other and didn't dare to make a fuss. One of them pointed at Li Shu and said, If you King dare to say anything, I'll kill you. We're from the Heaven Book League. The Heavenly Book League was an external organization of the Northern Qi Mansion in Bailing City. It was responsible for reselling the heavenly books written by the Northern Qi Mansion to mercenaries and bandits. It was the largest gang in Bailing City. When the gangsters left, the old man looked depressed. The money he had worked hard for months was gone just like that. Li Mengye hurriedly helped her grandpa up and cried, Grandpa, are you okay? Grandpa is fine. Mengye, don't cry. The old man wiped the little girl's tears and looked into the distance, trembling. The Heavenly Book League was not something he could afford to offend. Even if he reported this to the government, it would be of no use. He struggled to stand up with the help of a wooden stick and said, Mengye, let's go. Let's go home, sob sob, Grandpa. The little girl's face was full of tears. Looking at her grandpa, she felt an indescribable heartache. Boss, how much is the bone-healing medicine? 2 days later, a young voice came from a small town in the southwest of Bailing City. Li Mengye held a pile of silver coins in her hands and asked timidly with her eyes wide open. The superior bone-healing medicine costs 2 gold coins. Little girl, your dozen silver coins are not even enough to fill the gaps between my teeth. Go, don't hinder our business. Boss, my grandpa is bedridden and needs medicine. Please do me a favor. Go away, we are a pharmacy, not a charity. Go away, don't hinder our business. If you want medicine that doesn't cost money, go into the mountains to pick herbs and grind them. Li Mengye's eyes were filled with tears of grievance. She turned to look in the direction of the Crimson Abyss and suddenly seemed to have made up her mind. In the Crimson Abyss, there were many mountains. In the depths of the mountains, in a pitch-black cave, starlight lingered around a stone statue. Suddenly, with a pa-cha sound, the rock where the stone statue's finger was cracked open. Starlight flowed, and a powerful finger slowly stretched out. With a pa-pa-pa sound, the rock that covered the stone statue's body cracked one after another. This young man who had slept in the rock for 4 years finally woke up. His face was covered with a beard, but his clear eyes revealed a deep sense of confusion. Who am I? Where am I? Chapter 623. Over the past 4 years, the demons had sent troops to attack the iron defense wall of the Empire in the north of Winterfrost City 7 times, but they were all defeated by the power of the magic crystal cannons. The magic crystal cannons were like a nightmare for the demons, stopping them from advancing. They were suppressed by Wei Chao's army in Tongtian province, unable to advance even half a step south. The wind in May blew the heat waves from the grassland into the fertile fields. A continuous iron defense wall connected the east and the west. On top of the defense wall, a group of generals wearing the armor of senior officers of the Empire were facing the north, gazing in the direction of Tongtian province. It had been 4 years. Wei Chao's handsome face, which seemed to have been carved by wind and frost, showed a resolute contour. His eyes were a little confused as he said, "This attack has lasted for a month. I don't know when Qianfeng will attack the iron defense wall again, and how many times we can resist." Sigh. On the side, Situsen still maintained his youthful appearance. He had stepped into the sanctuary realm 3 years ago, and his appearance was forever unchanged. He put his hand on the hilt of his sword and said majestically, "We must resist as many times as Qianfeng attacks. The Empire is in the stage of recuperation. Every province is being farmed, and there is no extra military force for us to replenish. We can only rely on ourselves." "Yes." Wei Chou nodded and suddenly asked, "How is the situation in the Bloody Abyss?" "There is still no news from His Highness Yu. The Bloody Abyss has now become a continuous range of mountains and jungles for dozens of miles. Many hunters and herbalists have entered the Bloody Abyss, and we can't guard it at all. Therefore, I only send a legion of 1,000 to guard the Bloody Abyss every month. That's the only way. I really hope that His Highness can wake up soon." A flash of light flashed across Wei Chao's eyes. He said, "I always feel that Qianfeng's attacks in the past year are just a feint. He must be planning something. Qianfeng is sinister and cunning. We must be more vigilant." "Yes." "Any news from Lanyan City?" "There's no news. We have been supplied with rations and equipment on time every month. Don't worry, Duke Wei. His Highness Qin Yen is personally supervising the rations, so there won't be any mistakes." Situ Shui said respectfully. "That's good." Wei Chou looked back at Winterfrost City, which stood not far away, and said, "Winterfrost City is the heart of Winter Ridge Province. Continue to strengthen the walls and fortifications of Winterfrost City. If the steel walls can't stop the demons, we can only defend Winterfrost City." "Yes." As the warm wind blew past, the capes of the generals of the Dragon's Courage Legion fluttered in the wind. Soldiers with bright swords and armor stood on the wall. Today, the Longdan army camp had expanded to 200,000 people, and it was worthy of being the strongest army in the Empire. When Lin Muyu founded the Longdan army camp, she probably never thought that the Longdan army camp would be so powerful. Lanyan City, Sacred Temple. The star-picking finger emphasizes on both offense and defense. One finger to attack, and the other to defend. The starlight protects the body, and the enemy is invisible. A crisp voice described the profound meaning of the star-picking finger in the hall of the Sacred Temple's trial hall. It was none other than Chu Yao, who was wearing the robes of the Spirit Medicine Department's Great Deacon. Chu Yao was currently 33 years old, but she had mastered the 7th level of the star-picking finger 3 years ago. After she stepped into the sacred domain, her beauty was forever preserved, and she still looked like a 23 or 24-year-old teenager. A group of Gold Star and Silver Star instructors and sparring partners nodded their heads, listening to Chu Yao's words. At the side, the aged Guyang held the scroll in his trembling hands and said with a smile, "Someone, prepare some tea for Great Deacon Chu Yao. Yao, it's been hard on you. If it wasn't for you, I really don't know who else in the sacred temple is capable." Chu Yao smiled. "Grandpa Guyang is too polite. The Spirit Medicine Department and the Sacred Temple are originally one of the 3 departments of the Empire. Since the staff of the Sacred Temple want to learn my star-picking finger, then I am duty-bound to do it. I'm just afraid that I can't teach them well, and I will fail to fulfill Grandpa Guyang's trust." "How can that be?" Guyang sighed. Guyang sighed and said, "Ever since Great Deacon Xianyuan Hong ascended 4 years ago, there hasn't been a sacred domain expert in the Sacred Temple. It's all thanks to you, Yao, that you often come here to teach martial arts. Otherwise, I'm afraid that the Sacred Temple will continue to decline day by day." Sigh. "It's a pity that that brat Yu still refuses to wake up. Otherwise, with his cultivation, it would be more than enough for him to be the Great Deacon of the Sacred Temple. There wouldn't be a need for an old bag of bones like me to sit on the seat of the Great Deacon for the 2nd time." Sigh. At the mention of Lin Muyu, a hint of sadness immediately appeared on Chu Yao's beautiful face. She said, "You will definitely wake up, I believe in him. Perhaps, when you wakes up, he will also bring Her Highness Yin back alive. The 2 of them are not irresponsible people, they won't throw all the burdens on us." "Yes, that's right. 4 years ago, in the blood-red abyss, Qin Yin was killed by Tang Xiaoxi. As the Great Deacon of the Sacred Temple, Xianyuan Hong failed to protect Qin Yin. Because of this, he was depressed for nearly half a year. Finally, Xianyuan Hong took the blame and resigned from his position as the Great Deacon of the Sacred Temple. On a night when lightning flashed, he ascended to the heaven realm and stepped into the divine domain to cultivate. As for the other elder of the empire, Chu Chu had been missing for many years. No one knew where he had gone. There were rumors that Chu Chu had cultivated in the mountains and had already ascended. There were also rumors that a hunter had seen traces of Chu Chu in the mountains. Riding on a spiritual crane, Xiaoyao was like an immortal. As for which rumor was more reliable, no one knew. In any case, Feng Jixing and Qin Yan felt that these rumors were not very reliable. However, Chu Chu was not a person who was obsessed with fame and status, so no one could blame him. Guyang held the scroll in his hand and looked at Chu Yao awkwardly. He said, "Yao," halfway through his words, he suddenly stopped. Chu Yao stood on the training platform of the training hall. Condensing her fingers, a ray of starlight flickered on it. She could not help but smile. "Grandpa Guyang, if there's anything you want to say, just say it directly. There's no need to be embarrassed with me." Guyang said, "You see, Grandpa is also old. My old bones will not be able to move soon. How about I go to His Highness Qin Yan to resign from his position as the Great Deacon of the Sacred Temple. You will be the Great Deacon of both the Sacred Temple and the Spiritual Medicine Department. How about that?" This. Chu Yao had a helpless expression. "Absolutely not. Let's not talk about the fact that I can't split myself, there has never been such a rule since ancient times. Grandpa Guyang, how about this? If you really want me to help you in the Sacred Temple, I will also be a Sacred Temple Deacon. How about that?" "Good. Good." Guyang's face was full of joy. "That's great. With you in the Sacred Temple, no one will dare to bully us anymore. Yao, you are the younger sister of Chu Huai, one of the 4 heroes of Lanyan. Furthermore, you have already cultivated the star-plucking finger to the highest realm. That is enough to convince the masses." Chu Yao could not help but laugh. "So Grandpa Guyang is just worried about this." "Yes. I really hope that brat you can return early. That way, I can return the Great Deacon position to him. I won't have to do everything myself." Yes, no one wishes for that brat to wake up early. In the blood-red abyss, there was a dense jungle. At this time, it was raining heavily. Raindrops slid down from the branches and leaves of the jungle, continuously soaking into the soil that was once known as the Forbidden Land. Sha, on the peak of the mountain, a pile of withered grass and fallen leaves were pushed aside. In an extremely secretive cave among the rocks, a young man in ragged clothes pushed open the entrance of the cave and slowly climbed out. The light outside was very dazzling. He had not seen the light for a long time. He stumbled out of the cave. Suddenly, there seemed to be something stuck in the rock at the entrance of the cave. He exerted force, and with a p'zheng sound, a rusty longsword fell from his back. The ring of the stellar sword scabbard was already rusty. This young man was undoubtedly Lin Muyu. However, at this moment, Lin Muyu had no idea who he was. His mind was blank. He did not even know what the sword was called. So troublesome. He picked up the stellar sword and carefully looked at the patterns on the scabbard and hilt. He raised his hand to hold the hilt and suddenly pulled. However, the blade seemed to be rusty and did not move at all. So it is just a piece of scrap metal. He frowned and still carried the long sword on his back. At this moment, a rumbling sound came from his stomach. He was hungry. He had been hungry for 4 years. It was just that he did not know it. There were wild fruits in the mountain. He leaped a few meters and climbed up an apple tree like a spirit ape. He plucked an apple and took a big bite. It was sour, but not bad. It was edible. Not long after, a pile of fruit cores fell from the tree. Lin Muyu ate until he was half full. He leaned against the tree trunk and rested for a moment. Wang! Suddenly, there seemed to be a response in his mind. A sea of flames burned in his mind, and he even saw a beautiful face. Who was she? Lin Muyu did not know who she was, but he knew that he must save her. 9 Revolution Spirit Medicine. 9 Revolution Spirit Medicine. He did not know why, but there seemed to be someone muttering this term in his mind. Then, he seemed to recall some memory fragments. That's right, 9 Revolution Spirit Medicine. The Heaven's Heart Grass and Soul Returning Grass were refined according to the ratio of 9 to 1. It could revive the dead. Heaven's Heart Grass. Heaven's Heart Grass. He did not know who he wanted to save, nor did he know who he was. However, he knew that if he could find the Heaven's Heart Grass and refine the 9 Revolution Spirit Medicine, he might be able to find the answer he wanted. He jumped down from the tree and landed in the forest after a few jumps. Lin Muyu looked around, looking for the legendary Heaven's Heart Grass. However, Heaven's Heart Grass was a level 10 medicine. It was not easy to find it. When the heavy rain was about to stop, a new traveler came to the jungle. It was a girl with a bamboo stick in her hand. She had worn out her straw sandals and her toes were pierced by sharp rocks. She was bleeding, but she couldn't care less. Her little heart was filled with her grandpa's seriously injured appearance. She had to find the spirit stone grass that could heal bones. Chapter 624. When night fell, the mountain wind was exceptionally cold. Li Mengye was only wearing a thin layer of clothing. She did not know what the mystic stone grass looked like, only that it emitted a refreshing fragrance. Thus, Li Mengye used the bamboo stick to walk through the increasingly dark forest, desperately sniffing with her nose. As the night grew darker, Li Mengye shivered from the cold. She took out a piece of almost moldy flatbread from her bosom and bit into it. Then, she used her hands to pull the huge broad leaves in the forest and drank the rainwater that fell from the leaves. Woo-woo, the sound of the wind was mixed with the howling of wolves. Immediately, the girl gripped the bamboo stick tightly and looked around with a pair of large eyes full of vigilance. After a while, only a wild rabbit scurried through the forest. Forget it, why don't I look for it tomorrow morning? Li Mengye bent down and sat under a large tree, hugging her knees. She was so tired that she was about to faint, and in the blink of an eye, she fell asleep. She did not know how long she slept for, but suddenly, her nose was filled with a refreshing fragrance. That was the smell of roasted meat? Li Mengye immediately woke up and turned to look. There was a faint fire coming from a small valley not far away, as if there was someone there. However, Li Mengye knew that anyone who stayed in the Crimson Abyss in the middle of the night was not a good person. At this time, her stomach growled again. That small piece of flatbread was the last of Li Mengye's food. She could not help but feel so wrong that she was about to cry. However, the fragrance in the distance was getting stronger and stronger. Finally, the girl could not stand it anymore. She stood up and walked towards the valley. Her straw sandals were already worn out, and the soles of her feet stung when she stepped on the sharp rocks, but she could endure it. The strong hunger was driving her crazy. The moment she climbed up the small hill, she saw an extremely handsome young man in tattered clothes roasting a wild rabbit in the valley. The meat was already cooked, and the oil flowed on the surface, emitting a desirable fragrance. Gulp, Li Mengye swallowed her saliva and stared at the person in the valley from afar with her big round eyes. However, she did not notice that behind her, two pairs of red eyes were faintly discernible in the forest, slowly approaching her. Impressively, they were two adult swift wolves, also the frequent guests of this forest at night. Roar, Li Mengye finally woke up when the wolves roared. She recognized wolves and was scared out of her wits. After a scream, she held the bamboo pole with her tender hands and pointed it at the two wolves in the distance. At the same time, her body involuntarily retreated. Roar, the wolves opened their mouths wide, mucus dripping down from their teeth. It had been a long time since they had seen such a delicious meal. One of the wolves rushed over and bit down on Li Mengye. Kacha. The bamboo pole broke, and the girl rolled down the hill like a ball under the impact of the swift wolf. Roar. Another swift wolf chased after her and bit Li Mengye's neck at lightning speed. Ah, the girl only had time to let out a cry of alarm, but at this moment, suddenly a figure like lightning appeared in front of her. It was the person who roasted the rabbit meat in the valley, only to see him raise his arm horizontally, a faint true energy lingering around his palm, suddenly sweeping out. Bang! Blood splattered, the wolf's head was actually smashed by him. Lin Muyu's body suddenly charged forward, her fist flying out, smashing the other wolf into pieces. Instantly, the wolf's blood splattered all over Lin Muyu's body. Lin Muyu frowned, wiping his bloodied palm on the wolf's carcass. When he turned around, he saw the girl behind him staring at him with a pair of big bright eyes. So powerful, there was a bit of excitement in Li Mengye's eyes. She said, "Who are you, where did you come from?" "I don't know who I am." Lin Muyu sat down again, tore off a rabbit leg and ate it. She said, "I don't know where I come from, I live in this mountain." Live in the mountain? Li Mengye sat in front of Lin Muyu with great interest, hugging her knees, and said with burning eyes, "Immortal, you are an immortal, aren't you?" Grandpa said that a few years ago, this jungle was called the Scarlet Abyss. A god named Lin Muyu was sleeping in the Scarlet Abyss. You are him, you are that god, that immortal, right? Lin Muyu frowned. After entering the Forgotten Realm, he could not remember anything, let alone what a god was, so he said impatiently, "I don't know who Lin Muyu is, I am not an immortal, you should leave quickly, it is dangerous here, not suitable for you." "Immortal, immortal." Li Mengye cheered and said, "I saw an immortal, immortal, can you summon the wind and rain, swallow clouds and spit out mist?" "No." Lin Muyu said coldly. "Then immortal, do you know how to turn stone into gold, cast beans into soldiers?" "No." Lin Muyu was already very irritated. "Immortal, immortal." Li Mengye stared at him with her big watery eyes. "Do you know about the spiritual stone grass?" "I don't know." After Lin Muyu finished speaking, he suddenly realized that in his short memory, there seemed to be traces of the spiritual stone grass, so he asked, "Why do you ask about the spiritual stone grass?" "Grandpa's leg was broken by a bad person, I want the spiritual stone grass as medicine to treat Grandpa." "Tisk, how old are you, and you still want to treat people?" Lin Muyu smiled disdainfully. Li Mengye did not speak anymore, her big watery eyes stared at the rabbit meat in Lin Muyu's hand, and she only swallowed her saliva. Lin Muyu looked up and felt a little annoyed. She tore off another rabbit's hind leg and placed it in front of the girl, saying, "Eat this. After you're done, spend the night in the cave over there. Leave at daybreak tomorrow. This is not a place you should be in." "Thank you, Immortal." Li Mengye took the rabbit leg and thanked him happily, then began to reject it, and in the blink of an eye, she finished it. Lin Muyu secretly complained, how could this child eat so much, so he tore off another big piece of rabbit meat and handed it to her, saying, "Here, this is for you too." Li Mengye's face was full of joy, "Thank you, you really are an immortal." Grandpa said that the gods in the empire are good people who pity the state of the universe, they save the suffering, and enlighten the lost. Really? Tsk, Lin Muyu sneered, although she did not know why she sneered. Late at night, Lin Muyu found some hay to spread in the cave, so that Li Mengye could sleep well, while he leaned against the stone wall, searching for the power in his body, but it seemed that all the power in his body was sealed. He could feel the waves of divine power in his high, but he could not summon a single strand of divine power, as if the power had been forgotten, and he could only use a little true qi. Sigh, he sighed, looked at the starry sky, and muttered to himself, "Who am I? Why am I here? Who am I?" Immortal. Beside him, Li Mengye turned over in her sleep, hugged Lin Muyu's wrist, and said with a sweet smile, "I saw an immortal, I saw an immortal, Immortal?" Lin Muyu could not help but smile lightly, "I am an immortal? What a joke! What a fool!" The next day, at dawn, Lin Muyu roasted another wild rabbit, and after sharing it with the girl, said, "Okay, let's go our separate ways. You go find your spirit stone grass, I go find mine. Immortal, what are you looking for?" The girl asked with wide eyes. "None of your business." Lin Muyu had even forgotten who she was, so naturally she felt very annoyed, and said, "Don't bother me anymore." Li Mengye looked wronged, said, I just want to help you." "Help me?" Lin Muyu sneered, "Didn't you say that I am an immortal? Immortals are omnipotent, why would I need your help?" Yes, immortals are omnipotent." Li Mengye clapped her hands and laughed, "Then Immortal, can you tell me where the spirit stone grass is?" "I don't know." Lin Muyu was about to break down, and pointed to the front, "You go east, I go west, and we won't disturb each other." "But Immortal, you are pointing to the south." "Me." Lin Muyu's state of mind was undoubtedly broken at this moment, and with a leap, his feet flew over the small hill like the wind, and in the blink of an eye, he was already a few miles away, shaking off the little girl behind him. "Omnipotent Immortal?" He laughed coldly, "If I am omnipotent, I will know who I am." "Immortal! Immortal!" Li Mengye's voice echoed in the forest for a while, and she finally gave up looking for the Immortal, and found the broken bamboo pole. Although it was already broken, it was her only weapon. Grandpa said that there were many snakes in the mountains, and she still needed to rely on the bamboo pole to fight them. The girl's straw sandals were completely worn out, so she simply took them off and climbed the mountain rocks barefoot. Spirit stone grass was said to be a type of herb that grew in the cracks of the rocks, and it absorbed the essence of heaven and earth to grow. Moreover, there were so many people who went into the mountains to collect herbs, so if she wanted to find the spirit stone grass, she had to go to the more dangerous mountains. Until noon, the girl was already halfway up the mountain, in a place where there were few people. "Huh!" Li Mengye suddenly exclaimed. She saw a short pine tree in front of her, and there was a nearly 2 meters long snake coiled around it, blocking her way. Go away, big snake. She used the bamboo pole to slap it with all her might, and the snake was not poisonous, so it was actually scared and slithered away with its tail between its legs. Humph. The girl put her hands on her waist, like a little general who had returned victorious. She walked forward, and used the bamboo pole to push aside the branches and leaves of the pine tree. Impressively, she saw a fiery red herb growing in the cracks of the rocks, and under the pine tree. At the end of the herb, there were small red beads, which were as round as a heart. Oh, what is this? Perhaps it's very valuable. The girl cheerfully uprooted the herb, wrapped it in a cloth, and tied it around her waist. She continued forward, looking for the spirit stone grass. The next day, Li Mengye went down the mountain, but she did not find the spirit stone grass. She only found the fiery red herb on her waist, which was as clear as jade. The herb could not be dried for too long, or else its medicinal properties would evaporate, so she had to go back early to let someone see what kind of herb it was, and whether it was valuable. Chapter 625. Around noon, the sun hung high in the sky above the blood abyss. Amidst the mountains, a group of people was moving slowly. Some of them were wearing armor, while others were wearing embroidered robes. However, each of them was riding a fine horse. The empire had been at war for close to 10 years, and horses had long become a rarity. Moreover, these very fine horses were even rarer. This group of people was clearly either rich or noble. There were more than 20 of them, and they were meandering through the mountains. In the crowd, a warrior with a sword hanging from his waist was stroking his beard. His eyes were gleaming, and it was clear that his cultivation was not low. This person was called Northern Qi Hong, and he was one of the retainers of the Northern Qi Prefecture in Bailing City. He was at the first level of the Heaven Realm, and the heavenly book at his waist was enough to prove his identity. Next to Northern Qi Hong was an old man around 70 years old. Although he was old, his face was full of vigor. He must have taken good care of himself. Huang Yuan, the #1 alchemist in Lingnan province, had the title of King of Medicine. It was said that not long ago, he had refined a 9th-level medicine. This time, the Northern Qi Prefecture had sent a group of people to protect him in the blood abyss in order to find rare herbs. Sir King of Medicine. Hong of Northern Qi smiled respectfully. If we can find the longevity grass and refine the longevity medicine for Master Ing of Northern Qi, that will be a great accomplishment. Perhaps the old man will be so happy that he will immediately bestow upon you the position of governor of a province. Huang Yuan couldn't help but laugh. Whether or not we can find it will depend on luck. But Northern Qi's Master Ing is blessed by the heavens. I believe he will definitely find the longevity grass to extend his life. Northern Qi Hong nodded. Yes, if that is the case, the master will not need to use the heavenly book of life to extend his life. That goes against the heavens. Yes. The Northern Qi government had forced Tang Lan to her death at the old site of Bailing City, but this matter had always been hidden from the world. Most of the commoners who had witnessed the calamity had already died under Tang Xiaoxi's bloody claws. After the empire was rebuilt, the Northern Qi government immediately chose to pledge loyalty to Feng Jixing. Feng Jixing also needed someone to hold down the fort in Lingnan province, so he gave the head of the Northern Qi government, Northern Qi Ying, the title of chief administrator of Lingnan province, and ordered him to rebuild Bailing City. If it were not for the Northern Qi government, Bailing City would probably not have reached its current scale. It would have long been a dead city. However, Feng Jixing allowed the Northern Qi Prefecture to govern Bailing City, which made the Northern Qi Prefecture even more reckless and frivolous. The Northern Qi Prefecture established the Heavenly Book League, privately bought and sold Heavenly Book weapon embryos, and deceived their superiors and subordinates. Only the heavens knew how many heartless things they had done. It was not that Feng Jixing was unaware of this, but he was busy dealing with chaos everywhere and could not find the time to deal with the northern Qi prefecture. The mountain path was rugged. As they walked, they suddenly saw a girl limping down the mountain path. Her feet were a bloody mess, but her little face was full of stubbornness. She continued to walk down the mountain step by step. She held half a bamboo pole in her hand, and there were tears on her face. She must have fallen and cried in pain. There is a girl in the mountain. Northern Qihong looked from afar and couldn't help but frown. Huang Yuan's gaze turned cold. He narrowed his eyes at the cloth bag hanging from the girl's waist and said, "Sir Northern Qi, I think I have seen the herb hanging from the girl's waist in the pharmacopoeia." "Oh, what rare herb is it?" "It is heavenly heart grass, a level 10 herb." "What?" Northern Qihong was stunned. How is this possible? How could a mere girl have heavenly heart grass? Who knows? There are remnants of Qin Yin's divine power in the Crimson Abyss. Perhaps it was this divine power that gave birth to many rare herbs. Otherwise, why do you think so many people would flock to the Crimson Abyss? What do we do? Do we take the heavenly heart grass or not? Northern Qihong asked coldly. Huang Yuan's face was full of greed. Heavenly heart grass is the most precious treasure in the world. If we don't take it, someone else will. This girl is just a country girl and doesn't deserve it. Sir Northern Qi, heavenly heart grass grows in the Bloody Abyss, and the Bloody Abyss is within the borders of Bailing City. All of Bailing City belongs to the Northern Qi prefecture. Naturally, this heavenly heart grass belongs to the Northern Qi prefecture. We are just taking back what belongs to us. Huh, very well. Northern Qihong immediately urged his horse forward. He pointed from afar and said, "Hey, girl, stop right there." Li Mengye had already begun to take the grass from the thorny area, but she still couldn't escape the eyes of these people. She stood where she was in a daze. She could see that Northern Qihong was an official. The 2 stars on his collar were not fake. She said respectfully, "Sir, you called me for something?" "Of course. What is your name?" "Li Mengye." "Where did you steal the grass on your waist?" "I didn't steal it," Li Mengye argued. "I picked it up in the mountains." "I didn't steal it." "How dare you say you didn't steal it?" Northern Qihong's eyes were ferocious. "This mountain belongs to Bailing City. I am the guardian of Bailing City. This mountain is mine. You picked the grass on my mountain and you dare say you didn't steal it? Give it to me." No. Although Li Mengye was young, she knew that the grass must be valuable. She held the heavenly heart grass and said, "This is the money for grandpa and mother's treatment. You can't take it. How dare you?" Northern Qihong suddenly raised his horse whip and lashed at the air. Pa! A bloody mark immediately appeared on Li Mengye's neck. Blood seeped out, but she endured the pain without making a sound. She covered the heavenly heart grass with both hands and ran into the bushes to the side. "You dare to run?" Northern Qihong pulled out his steel sword. He was ready to kill. He urged his horse to give chase. Li Mengye walked barefoot. How could she outrun a warhorse? In the blink of an eye, Northern Qihong had caught up. "You're courting death." The steel sword fell from the sky and slashed at Li Mengye's back. If the sword fell, Li Mengye would almost certainly die. Just as the steel sword fell, a black shadow swept over from afar. Clang! The steel sword was knocked away, and the black shadow pierced into the rock behind Northern Qihong with a swoosh. With a buzzing sound, it was a long sword with a sheath. It was not pulled out at all, or perhaps it could not be pulled out at all. Li Mengye was so scared that her face turned pale. She turned around and saw a familiar figure. It was Lin Muyu, wrapped in animal skin. He had already taken off his rusty armor and replaced it with a newly killed animal skin. "Immortal! Immortal, Save me. The girl cried for help. Immortal? Northern Qihong could not help but laugh. What kind of immortal are you? You're just a poor hunter. He spurred his horse forward with a shocking momentum. Lin Muyu faced him head-on, gathering the Xianxia in her arms. Just as Northern Qihong's sword was about to land, Lin Muyu spun around to avoid the attack. She swung her arms and landed a heavy blow on Northern Qihong's back. Bang! Northern Qihong groaned. He was in pain but not injured. Lin Muyu's Xianxia was at most at the third tier of the earth state. It would be difficult for her to hurt a heavenly realm warrior like Northern Qihong. But Lin Muyu took advantage of the situation and flew past. She grabbed the stellar sword with one hand and pulled it out of the rock with the scabbard. She leaped and hit Northern Qihong's shoulder heavily before he could turn around. Boom! The astral power burst forth. Lin Muyu's supreme divine power had been forgotten, but the sharpness of the astral tactics was still there. The power of the blade through the scabbard was still too much for Northern Qihong to handle, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Who are you? Northern Qihong retreated on his horse and roared, Do you know who I am? How dare you hit me? Lin Muyu ignored him. She just looked at Li Mengye and asked, What's wrong? Li Mengye said pitifully, They wanted to steal my herb. Here, Lin Muyu shivered. That herb was very familiar. It was the legendary Heavenly Heart herb. No wonder this person wanted to kill Li Mengye. It was the precious Heavenly Heart herb. Immortal, do you know what herb this is? It's Heavenly Heart herb, Lin Muyu said lightly. It's an herb that can bring the dead back to life. It's also the herb I'm looking for. Huh? Li Mengye smiled. Immortal, are you looking for the Heavenly Heart herb to save someone? Yes. Save who? A very important friend. Who is she? I don't know. Lin Muyu fell into confusion again. Then, this Heavenly Heart herb is for you. Li Mengye's little face was full of smiles. She was so innocent that she could not imagine the value of the Heavenly Heart herb. It was enough to feed her family for 10,000 years. Are you done talking? Northern Qihong's face was full of anger. If you are, shouldn't I make my move? At this time, a dozen Northern Qi mansion guards appeared behind Northern Qihong. He laughed coldly. Even a scum like you has the nerve to call yourself an immortal. How interesting. Little girl, I'll send you and your immortal to hell. Men, shoot. The dozen guards shot their arrows at the same time. Lin Muyu hurriedly protected Li Mengye behind her. Her stellar sword danced with its scabbard to block the arrows. She shouted, Run! Are you waiting to be shot into porcupines? Li Mengye's face was full of panic. Oh! She held the Heavenly Heart herb in her arms and ran straight into the fields. There were rocks everywhere, not suitable for war horses. She was a very smart girl. Lin Muyu quickly retreated. After a few leaps, she disappeared into the mountains, following Li Mengye. Damn it! Bastard! Seeing that the Heavenly Heart herb was gone, Northern Qihong was furious. He shouted in a low voice, Men, write a letter back to Bailing City. Ask Master Fan Yun to come and help us kill this kid. Yes. Behind him, Huang Yuan slowly approached. His eyes shone with a faint light. He said, Wait, Sir Northern Qihong. Haven't you noticed that this person is very strange? What's strange about him? His blade is not out of its scabbard, but it is very powerful. Furthermore, his appearance is very similar to a legendary person. More importantly, his boots, they are commander-level boots made by the Empire 5 years ago. I remember them very clearly. Sir King of Medicine, are you saying that this kid is the Lin Muyu sleeping in the blood-red abyss? Northern Qihong was stunned. He could not help but laugh. This is impossible, absolutely impossible. Before Lin Muyu fell asleep again, he displayed his divine power. He is a god. If he really was a god, I'm afraid I would have been killed just now. Yes, because of this. Huang Yuan's eyes shone with a fierce light. He said, this proves that Lin Muyu's power has been sealed. If we don't kill him now, when will we? But Lin Muyu is Feng Jixing's brother. If we kill Lin Muyu, Feng Jixing, if we don't say anything, who in the world will know that we killed Lin Muyu? Okay, go and ask Master Fan Yun to come immediately. Yes. Chapter 626. Bang! Yushu's letter was slammed onto the table. In the master's manor of Nu by Ling City, the northern Chi Eagle's face was full of anger. His eyes were full of murderous intent as he said, I have waited for so many years. Lin Muyu, you have finally appeared. Beside him, the eldest northern Chi Yun said, Father, since Lin Muyu has reappeared, then, and he has lost his power. Why don't we take advantage of this rare opportunity to get rid of him? The northern Chi Eagle said lightly, if it was not for Lin Muyu's interference, your brother northern Chi Huan would not have died so tragically in the White Leaves Forest. Humph, this enmity is irreconcilable and must be avenged. Venerable Fan Yun, this trip will depend on you. A martial artist who was about 40 years old with an arrogant face stood up and cupped his fists. If it is really like what is written in Yu's letter that Lin Muyu only has less than half of his cultivation left, this subordinate promises to bring back his head for Governor Darren. Humph, 4 years ago Lin Muyu turned into a god in the blood-red abyss and killed my master and dozens of my brothers. This blood feud will be avenged here. The northern Chi Eagle nodded and said, if the venerable sir really kills Lin Muyu, I am willing to recommend you as the chief staff officer of Lingnan province. Thank you, Governor. Other than that, bring back Lin Muyu's stellar sword. Lin Muyu must have many treasures in his dimensional bag. The legendary Fushi's heavenly book may be among them. Once we find it, I will go with the venerable sir. All right. Not long after, under the protection of hundreds of cavalry, the northern Chi Eagle and Fan Yun galloped out of Bailing City. The group looked serious and murderous. Crimson abyss, mountains and forests. It began to rain again. The rain pitter-pattered on the leaves. Lin Muyu held the unsheathed stellar sword as he sped along. Behind him, Li Mengye stumbled along. Immortal, wait for me. Immortal, wait for me. Lin Muyu suddenly turned around, his eyes revealing a cold glint. Don't follow me, I've said it before, since I can pick heavenly heart grass in this forest, then there must be other heavenly heart grass. I will go look for them myself. You don't need to send me off. There's a small path to the north that leads straight to the foot of the mountain. Take advantage of the fact that their people haven't caught up to us. Hurry up and leave. You're so weak. It would be a pity to die in this mountain. The girl hugged the heaven's heart grass, tilted her head and looked at him, saying, Then if I leave and they come to seek revenge, they won't be able to find me, and the immortals will be in trouble. Lin Muyu was annoyed and said, Didn't you say that I'm an immortal? Immortals are omnipotent, so it doesn't matter if they find trouble with me. But. The girl furrowed her brows and said, But the immortal doesn't seem to be able to defeat those people just now. Otherwise, the immortal would have already defeated the bad guy. Lin Muyu wanted to say something but stopped, his heart full of regret. He could feel the vast divine power in his body, but this power didn't seem to belong to him. He couldn't use it, as if it was something he had forgotten. Clenching his fists, he gritted his teeth and stared at the little girl. Anyway, hurry up and leave. Isn't your grandfather still waiting for you to treat him? Go, it's too dangerous here, not to mention those powerful people. Even the wolves in the mountains can eat you. Look at you, skinny as a match. How much strength can your fists have? Hurry up and leave, don't drag me down anymore. But The girl's eyes were already brimming with tears. She said, But grandfather said that immortals are omnipotent, they are all good people who save the common people and help the weak, immortals can't just abandon me like this. Whoosh! Lin Muyu suddenly jumped in front of the girl, looking at her fiercely, his face full of annoyance. Power enshrouded his fists, stirring up the fallen leaves, but he still couldn't summon too much power. He said angrily, You see, this is all I can do, I can't beat them, I can't protect you, hurry up and leave, don't drag me down. But, you are an immortal living in the mountains. The girl looked at him with great grievance. Sigh, Lin Muyu gritted his teeth, Don't follow me anymore, I'll go find the heavenly heartgrass myself to refine medicine to save people. Don't die in the mountains, this knife is for you to protect yourself, take the knife and leave. He raised his hand and pulled out a small demonic noise knife from his waist. At this time, Lin Muyu naturally didn't know that the demonic noise knife was a treasure. He directly threw the sharp knife into the rocks, piercing a few centimeters in. Li Mengye's pair of beautiful eyes were full of joy. It's a treasure bestowed by the immortal. She used all her strength to pull out the knife, smiling as she said, Immortal, do you know how to refine medicine? Immortal, teach me how to refine medicine, okay? However, when Li Mengye pulled out the knife and turned to look again, she only saw the figure of Lin Muyu leaping into the forest. The girl couldn't help but be disappointed. Holding the little demonic noise knife, she said, Immortal, you still haven't taught me how to refine medicine. I want to learn how to refine medicine to cure my mother's illness. Immortal, where have you been? At dusk, the rain stopped, and the sound of horse hooves could be heard in the forest. Northern Qi Hong raised his sword and rode forward. Master Fan Yun, you've come. Where is he? Northern Qi Eagle said coldly. It's right in this forest. Northern Qi Hong smiled slightly. My black feather is following him, in that direction, we can go there and capture him. There's no need to capture him, just kill him, Northern Qi Eagle lightly said. Lin Muyu is a sleeping dragon, if you can kill him in his sleep, then don't go looking for trouble. Someone, prepare the heavenly book embryo. If Fan Yun the Venerable is no match for Lin Muyu, use the heavenly book to keep him in check. First use the wind element lower level heavenly book, then use the earth element middle level heavenly book, and kill him in one move. Yes, sir. A group of guards all pulled out their sharp blades, and a faint divine light floated on all of their blades. A number of them were of the heavenly book grade. In the blink of an eye, 4 years had passed. There were many people in the land who could write heavenly books, and there were even more who could write earthly books. Earthly books were no longer rare. Presently, it was the world of heavenly books, and as the foremost heavenly book family in Lingnan, the Northern Qi Prefecture did not lack for heavenly book embryos. In order to kill Lin Muyu, Northern Qi Eagle took out almost all of his wealth, using all 5 heavenly book grade embryos he had written in 4 years. In the mountain forest, an agile figure climbed back and forth between the mountain rocks. It was Lin Muyu, who carried the stellar sword on her back. A faint Jinchi light lingered around her battle boots. Each leap left a shallow footprint on the mountain rocks. Unfortunately, although the spiritual energy in the mountain was abundant and medicinal herbs grew everywhere, she still did not see the heavenly heart grass. When she leaped up, she suddenly saw a black shadow circling in the air. It was a falcon. It seemed that he had been circling above her for a long time. Lin Muyu couldn't help but furrow his brows. This falcon seemed to have ill intentions. Had she already been targeted? In a moment of distraction, her feet slipped and she lost her footing. Her entire body immediately fell down the rock wall. Her right hand trembled. In a moment of desperation, she condensed a faint king's fighting flame. Her hand grabbed onto the rock wall like a sharp claw. Only then did she stop her body. Whoosh, whoosh, looking down at the bottomless abyss, she couldn't help but feel a lingering fear. If she had fallen down, she would certainly have been smashed to pieces. After all, she wasn't a real immortal. Right, she didn't even know who she was. Perhaps she really was an immortal. Looking at the faint king's fighting flame that lingered around her palm, Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile. Her naturally optimistic spirit was useful at this time. If she really was a god, then, she wouldn't be afraid of any mortal spying on her. At this moment, Lin Muyu glanced around and saw a green medicinal herb growing between the rock peaks. It emitted a faint fragrance. The appearance of this herb was very familiar. Yes, it was the spirit stone grass, a rare herb that could speed up the healing of bones. It was also the herb that the little girl had been looking for to heal her grandfather. That stupid girl. Lin Muyu smiled faintly and raised her hand to pick the spirit stone grass and put it into her bosom. If she could see the stupid girl again, she would give this spirit stone grass to her. However, in this forest of mountains, it would be too difficult to see her again. Kiki, the cries of the falcon in the sky became more and more mournful. Lin Muyu climbed up and stepped on a green rock. Looking up at the falcon, she frowned and said, "Who raised this feathered beast? I can't let it live." He picked up a small stone, slowly bent his body, and suddenly threw it. Whoosh! The falcon in the sky screamed and rolled a few times in the air. Flustered and exhausted, it flapped its wings and flew down. It was injured, but it didn't seem to be fatal. Count yourself lucky. Lin Muyu's lips curled up. Jumping up to another rock, she continued to look for Heaven's heart grass. "Hey you!" At the bottom of the mountain, Northern Qihong frowned and said, "Master, it's not good. Hey you is injured. It must be Lin Muyu's doing. She has already discovered Hey yu's existence." "Where is Lin Muyu?" "On the east side of the mountain." "Good. Full speed ahead." "Yes." After nightfall, Lin Muyu's search for Heaven's heart grass was fruitless, so he could only go down the mountain. Along the way, he used a stone to kill 2 wild rabbits and used them as food. He began to gradually familiarize himself with this body and felt the power in his body. However, he couldn't recall all of his abilities in such a short amount of time. After going down the mountain, he picked up a pile of firewood and used the king's fighting flame to light a fire. After skinning the wild rabbits and removing their innards, he placed them on the fire to roast. Then, he gripped the stellar sword and slowly used force to pull it out. However, the blade was completely sewn and could not be pulled out. "It can't really just be a piece of scrap metal, can it?" he said angrily. However, Lin Muyu was completely unaware that in the forest behind him, cold poisoned arrows were already aimed at him, waiting to be fired. The sound of bowstrings being pulled taut mixed with the night mountain wind. Northern Chi Eagle stood in the forest in a black robe. Looking at the completely unaware Lin Muyu, he lightly said, "Release the arrows. Kill him." Chapter 627. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The arrows rained down on Lin Muyu, catching her completely off guard. Her battle chi converged behind her, forming a suit of battle armor that deflected the arrows one by one. Clanging sounds rang out in the air. "Oh no, he has battle armor." Northern Chi Eagle's intestines were green with regret. If he had known earlier, he would have ordered his attendants to use white drill arrows. "Draw your swords, go." A group of guards threw away their bows and arrows, pulled out their swords, and charged forward. These were all attendants skilled in close combat, and they were also the strongest guards that Northern Chi Eagle had raised for many years. Lin Muyu stood up. Holding the stellar sword that could not be unsheathed, she looked coldly at the crowd and said, "Just who are you people? Why do you keep finding trouble with me?" A guard laughed sinisterly. "We are people who want your worthless life. Die." Sword light flew. There were a few Heaven Realm warriors in this group. Lin Muyu almost instinctively swung her sword to block. After the scabbard knocked away a guard's longsword, her body spun, and the hilt of the sword, which contained great power, slammed heavily into the guard's chest. Her battle boots flew out and sent the first Heaven Realm guard flying. It was clear that Lin Muyu's strength was recovering. Northern Qi Hong's heart chilled. 3 to 5 Heaven Realm warriors attacked together, but they couldn't do anything to Lin Muyu. He quickly turned to Northern Qi Eagle and said, "Master, Lin Muyu's strength is constantly recovering. I believe it won't be long before he recovers. Fan Yun, please attack immediately and kill Lin Muyu before his strength recovers." "Okay, that's what I was thinking." Fan Yun's gaze turned cold. He had already stepped out of the forest, and the pressure of his domain spread out in the surroundings. Immediately, the guards who were fighting retreated. Rustle, 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 the pressure of his domain made the gravel on the ground tremble. Fan Yun walked toward Lin Muyu with his hands behind his back like an expert. There was a faint smile on his lips. "Lin Muyu, do you still recognize me?" "Lin Muyu? Who did you say is Lin Muyu? And who are you? Do you know me?" Lin Muyu felt as if she had grabbed onto a life-saving straw. Someone actually knew who she was. "Ha ha ha, of course I know you. You massacred my sect. I haven't settled this debt with you yet." Fan Yun's domain pressure became stronger and stronger. Finally, with a bang, the animal skin robe in front of Lin Muyu's chest exploded. This kind of animal skin could no longer withstand the pressure of Fan Yun's concentrated force field. Immediately after, the stones around Lin Muyu also exploded. Lin Muyu naturally didn't feel good either. His body felt like it was about to be crushed. Although he wanted to resist, he didn't know how to do so. He had already forgotten how to condense pressure to resist a strong enemy's force field. Pfft! After spitting out a mouthful of blood, Lin Muyu suddenly knelt down on one knee. However, she silently pulled out a small demonic noise blade from her waist and pressed it firmly into the grass. "Ha ha ha!" Fan Yun stepped forward, his face full of arrogance. He raised his right foot and stepped on the back of Lin Muyu's head. His laughter became even more arrogant. "Ha ha ha! God, this is a god. Is this the god Lin Muyu revered by the Empire as a god? Ha ha ha, you are so weak. I only need to use a little bit of strength to crush you into mincemeat. Poor thing." But at this moment, Lin Muyu suddenly raised her hand and struck. The demonic noise blade slashed across Fan Yun's leg. Blood flowed. Fan Yun was caught off guard. His leg twitched in pain. Lin Muyu didn't say anything. Her left fist trembled. The king's fighting flame raged. She suddenly punched Fan Yun's chest and shouted, "Get out of my way!" Bang! Under the heavy blow, Fan Yun flew back like a cannonball. He only stopped after smashing through a few large trees. Northern Qi Eagle, Northern Qi Ju, and the others were dumbfounded. "Heavenly Book, use the Heavenly Book!" Northern Qi Eagle roared, "Heavenly Book of the Law of Wind." "Yes, Father." Northern Qi Ju raised his long sword. Divine runes appeared on the blade. In the sky, a divine power pierced through the clouds and descended. Immediately, the surrounding air seemed to condense. In the next moment, a storm raged around them. The wind blades were like knives, scraping against Lin Muyu's body. "Wah!" Lin Muyu let out a muffled groan. She knelt on the ground. The ground around her was cut open. Her battle armor was desperately gathering power to save her master's life. 10 seconds later, Lin Muyu was riddled with wounds. Her entire body was covered in wounds caused by the Heavenly Book of the Law of Wind. The small valley she was in was a complete mess. The grass had been plucked clean, and the ground looked like it had been cut by a knife. "Heavenly Book of the Law of Fire!" Northern Qi Eagle shouted. One of the guards raised his arm. Divine runes revolved, and the power of heaven and earth was activated. Immediately, a rain of fire fell from the sky and began to burn the pitiful Lin Muyu. The scorching heat was enough to kill. Lin Muyu hugged his head and rolled around on the ground like a wild beast. He didn't know how to resist the power of the heavenly book. He couldn't think of anything. The Forgotten Realm was like a curse that imprisoned his cultivation. After the flames raged, Lin Muyu fell miserably in the sea of fire. Northern Chi Eagle laughed coldly. He's done for. Someone, give me another heavenly book of the law of earth. Yes. A pillar of indigo light rose up into the heavens, and the earth tremored violently as a series of rock spikes erupted from the ground like the gaping maw of a gargantuan beast. Countless rock spikes struck Lin Muyu's body, and he was bleeding profusely as his suit of battle armor crumbled one after another. He was completely unable to withstand this fearsome power. All right, he's about to die. Northern Chi Eagle said indifferently, follow me. Yes. When the power of the heavenly book disappeared, the rock spikes turned to stone powder. Lin Muyu collapsed in the stone powder. Northern Chi Eagle walked forward and pulled out the Qianquan pouch from his waist. He reached into the pouch and finally pulled out a golden heavenly book. It was the legendary Fuxi heavenly book. It's the heavenly book. It's the Fuxi heavenly book left behind by the god Emperor Fuxi. I found it, I found it. Northern Chi Eagle seemed to have found a treasure. He trembled with excitement. I found the heavenly book. Flipping open the heavenly book, lines of words immediately came into view. At this time, Northern Chi Ji walked forward, pulled out his long sword, and pressed it against Lin Muyu's chest. Father, then. I will finish him off to avenge my second brother. Wait. Northern Chi Ji flipped to the last few volumes of the heavenly book but couldn't see a single word. He couldn't help but say, this is a wordless heavenly book. I still have things to ask Lin Muyu. Tie him up and break his sea of energy. Yes. Northern Chi Ji smiled slightly. The blade of his sword swept across and pierced through Lin Muyu's sea of energy. Immediately, Jianqi flowed out. Following that, he used the tough nihility ox tendon to bind him tightly. The nihility ox tendon was resistant to water and fire. It was a good material for bowstrings, but it was also excellent for binding people. The more one struggled, the tighter it became. It was impossible to break free. At night, everyone set up camp in the cave. They threw Lin Muyu into the innermost part of the cave. After splashing water on him, he still did not wake. His injuries were too serious. Not long after, everyone became drowsy. Outside the cave, the fire flickered. Lin Muyu slowly woke up. He felt pain all over his body. He struggled for a while and then gave up. His state of mind was a mess. Fan Yun said he was a god, but how could a god be reduced to such a state? At this time, a rustling sound came from behind him. It was as if someone was cutting the nihility ox tendon binding him. Turning around, he saw a familiar face. It was that little girl, Li Mengye. Shoo, Li Mengye made a quiet gesture. She then held the little demonic knife that Lin Muyu had given her and slowly cut the nihility ox tendon. Fortunately, it was a sharp demonic knife. If it had been any other dagger, it would not have been easy to smoothly cut the nihility ox tendon. Patter, the nihility ox tendon broke one by one, but the closest guard was only a few meters away. Lin Muyu could not summon up any strength in his body. The remaining Jianqi in his sea of energy had all been drained. Li Mengye stretched out her hand and pointed behind her. In a small voice, she said, "There is a cave in this cave. We'll crawl out from here." Be quiet, Immortal. At this time, when Lin Muyu heard Immortal, he immediately felt it was particularly ironic. If he really was someone, why would he need a girl who had no strength to truss a chicken to save him? Li Mengye acted as Lin Muyu's walking stick. Supporting him, she slowly slid into the cave. They followed the cave for about 1 or 2 li and immediately appeared on the other side of the mountain range. Immortal, we're safe. The girl happily spun around on the grass. She waved her hands and feet as she took out the sky heart grass from her waist. Immortal, I'll give this to you. You need it so much. No, I'll get it myself. Humph, Immortal is so stingy. The girl pouted. Lin Muyu thought of the sky heart grass. Unfortunately, it had already been crushed by the heavenly book of the law of wind. Otherwise, she could have given it to the girl to treat her grandfather. At this moment, a torch suddenly flickered in the distance. The sound of horse hooves rang out. Northern Cheese Eagle, Fan Yun, and the others had caught up. Hurry up and leave. I'll hold them off. Lin Muyu opened his hands, but he could not summon up any strength. Li Mengye widened her eyes in panic. Immortal, we can't escape, can we? The warhorses came very quickly. In the blink of an eye, the people of Northern Qi had already surrounded the two of them. You still want to leave? Humph, this little girl is really a hindrance. Fan Yun snorted coldly and suddenly opened his palms. An invisible force whistled through the air. Immediately, Li Mengye was caught in Fan Yun's hands. Her face flushed red. She whimpered, Immortal, save me, he's an immortal. Fan Yun could not help but laugh. He's just a useless piece of trash right now. No, an immortal is omnipotent. Li Mengye argued loudly. How annoying. Fan Yun suddenly swung his arms. Suddenly, Li Mengye's body crashed into a distant tree, and there was no sound. You! Lin Muyu gritted his teeth. A blood-red power circled in his eye. He clenched his fists and roared, You bastards, why do you want to kill the innocent? Bang! Fan Yun heavily slammed his palm into Lin Muyu's chest, directly pressing him into the rock wall behind him. The rock layer cracked. Fan Yun laughed sinisterly. Lin Muyu, you're not a god anymore. You're just a piece of trash. What right do you have to be so arrogant? As he spoke, Fan Yun raised his left hand. A black longsword, sheathed in its sheath, pierced Lin Muyu's left shoulder, nailing him to the rock wall. Blood splattered everywhere. That longsword was Lin Muyu's stellar sword. Humph, trash. You're a god. Fan Yun laughed loudly. He opened his right palm, and flames soared into the sky. This palm was filled with murderous intent. Presumably, he wanted to use the power of the law of fire to send Lin Muyu on his way. Don't hurt him. Behind him, a petite figure rushed over and slammed heavily into Fan Yun's back. Li Mengye cried out and was sent flying by the impact of her battle armor. You annoying fly! Fan Yun was unable to restrain his anger. He pressed his palm down, and immediately, a chain of fire wrapped around the girl. So painful, the heavenly heart grass in the girl's hand was turning into ashes. The flames engulfed her beautiful face and body, but she still widened her eyes and looked at Lin Muyu on the rock wall. Immortals are omnipotent. Tears flowed out of Lin Muyu's eyes as she let out a cry like a wild beast. For her, there was nothing he couldn't do. Hong! A golden light shot out, and the supreme divine power returned to Lin Muyu's body like a storm. His eyes were slowly plated with gold. At the same time, dragon scales covered in flames flew out from the alternate space and condensed inch by inch around Lin Muyu to form a suit of armor. This was the armor of the awakened Acatosaurus. Pooh! Pulling out the long sword from his shoulder, Lin Muyu roared crazily. The stellar sword was slowly unsheathed, and a golden light soared into the sky. All of you must die. Chapter 628. Heavenly Realm, Pond of Illusion. In the image in the pond, a soul shadow slowly flew up from Li Mengye's body. That beautiful face seemed familiar. She looked at Lin Muyu with a smile. Her gaze was full of longing. Her body was involuntarily sucked into the sky. Xiao's nose turned sour as she watched. Tears trickled down her cheeks as she said, "If Yu knew that she was Qin Yin's reincarnation, how regretful would he be." The seven luminaries' demon emperor's expression was solemn. He said lightly, "You doesn't know that she is Qin Yin. Qin Yin also doesn't know that he is you. Everything is destined by fate. Qin Yin died as a god and has now escaped into the six paths of reincarnation. The human path, the animal path, the Azura path, the ghost path, the purgatory path, and the heavenly path are all human paths." Sigh, he paused and then said, "However, without Qin Yin's sacrifice, I'm afraid you would not have been able to break through to the Forgotten Realm and truly form this supreme destiny." Xiao was silent. Boom! An enormous dragon crystal with a radius of dozens of meters fell from the sky and crushed a group of northern Qi cavalry. The dragon crystal fell to the ground and created a powerful impact that threw a group of cavalry nearby into a complete mess. Lin Muyu wore dragon armor formed by a Catasaurus. There was not a trace of emotion in her golden eyes. She raised her long sword and suddenly cut through the air. Fan Yun was dumbfounded. He quickly raised his arm. The light from the embryo of the sword shot into the sky. It was an exquisite book of the laws of ice. Immediately, a huge ice shield formed in front of him. Boom! The sword chi cut through the air, splitting the ice shield and Fan Yun's body in two. Fan Yun didn't even have time to make a sound before he was killed. He probably didn't think he would end up like this. "Father, let's go." Northern Qi protected the Northern Qi eagle and fled in panic, but how could they escape? In the sky, golden clouds covered the sky. Lin Muyu stepped on the void, and with every step she took, golden god force rippled outwards. In her EC, a golden godhead slowly condensed, and endless god force flowed into Lin Muyu's body. The supreme godhead's god force far surpassed the other four grades of godheads, and the destructive power it could produce was naturally earth-shattering. Suddenly, Lin Muyu raised her left hand, and it was as if all the stars in the sky were grasped in her hand. A purplish-red blazing sun appeared in her palm. It was the sixth form of the astral arts. Purple sun shakes the earth. Lin Muyu had been in slumber for 4 years, and the Supreme Sovereign Personality had also been dormant for 4 years. This was enough time for Lin Muyu to comprehend the higher level of the astral arts. The rays of the violet sun illuminated the night as bright as day. Lin Muyu stared at the ground with his golden eyes. At this moment, he was like a god looking at the ants on the ground. All life and death was in his hands. Buzz! With a wave of her arm, the energy of the violet sun fell onto the ground. The light came closer and closer. When the Northern Qi Eagle, Northern Qi Ji, and Northern Qi Hong turned around, their faces were pale. This was God's punishment for the human world. There was no way to avoid it. Boom! A semicircular explosion spread out on the ground. The energy of the purple sun shakes the earth spread out with a destructive force. The Northern Qi Eagle, Northern Qi Ji, and the others were instantly turned into ashes. Even the ground, forests, and mountains were blasted into a basin. What more these people's bodies of flesh and blood? An abyss with a radius of several hundred meters appeared in the crimson abyss. The sixth form of the star incantation's destructive power was a little too strong. Its power was almost equivalent to a large-scale magic crystal cannon shell, and its destructive power was even stronger. There was no one left alive in this forest. With the recovery of her divine power, Lin Muyu's memories had completely recovered. She murmured, "Shao Yin, where exactly are you?" The golden divine light around her body slowly dissipated. Lin Muyu shed his supreme beginner god form. The golden light in her eyes also faded. The dragon armor broke down and turned into a catasaurus. With a howl, it fell to the ground with its master. Lin Muyu picked up her Qinquan bag from the ground. The things inside were all there. The northern Qi eagle did not touch them. He found a white robe from the bag and put it on. He looked completely new. Then, he found Li Mengye's charred body among the corpses and ashes. He wrapped it in a cloth. Carrying her body, he leaped into the air and entered the realm of controlling the air to fly. The cloak behind him flapped. Lin Muyu flew faster and faster. There was a boom behind him, creating a sonic boom. This proved that his flying speed had surpassed the speed of sound. However, his divine power was still enough. As he continued to increase his speed, the plane in front of him suddenly began to have layers. It was as if countless blocks had appeared in front of him, allowing him to pass through them. Was this the power of breaking through the void? The power of the fourth dimension. Swoosh! In the blink of an eye, he had already appeared 20 miles away. This was probably the furthest teleportation distance that a cultivator at the first level of the godly state could achieve. In the middle of the night, Lin Muyu descended from the sky and landed in the quiet town. According to what Li Mengye had told you earlier, her home should be here. Lin Muyu carried Li Mengye's body and slowly walked through the town. Finally, she met a night watchman. She asked respectfully, "Sir, may I ask, where is Li Shu's home?" Li Shu? The night watchman raised his lantern and found the 3 shining stars on Lin Muyu's collar. He was immediately scared out of his wits. Those who could have 3 stars were at least high-ranking officials of the general rank. He had never seen one. However, he did not know that Lin Muyu was the Qin king of the 3 kings. Otherwise, he would have fainted. Li Shu, it's the last family on this street. It's the family of Qingmu's sect. Oh, thank you very much. Lin Muyu carried Li Mengye's body and walked straight to the house. As expected, there was a house with a green door. Li Shu's leg was injured. He did not knock on the door and jumped into the yard. He knocked on the door of the hut and said, "Is anyone there?" "Who is it?" Li Shu woke up from his sleep. Lin Muyu said, "Li Mengye, she passed away. I'm here to send her home." "Ah, my granddaughter, the old man rolled down from the bed and stumbled to open the door. He saw Lin Muyu carrying Li Mengye's burnt body. Lin Muyu was wearing the armor of a high-ranking military officer. There were even golden-purple flowers on her cloak. However, the old man no longer had any respect for her. He recognized Li Mengye's face and knelt on the ground, crying. Lin Muyu also knelt in front of Li Mengye's body and said, "Old man, she was a good girl. She was killed by the bad guys to save me. Don't worry. I'll take care of you for the rest of your life." As she spoke, Lin Muyu took out a gold note and slowly placed it on the ground. "This is 100,000 Jinin coins. It's enough for you and Mengye's mother to live for the rest of your life. When I return, I'll send someone to bring you to live in Lanyan City in the capital. Can this money buy back Mengye's life?" The old man's voice trembled. "No." Lin Muyu's heart ached. She knelt to the old man and said, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't. I couldn't protect Mengye and let her die." Who are you?" "My name is Lin Muyu." "You?" The old man was terrified. You're the Qin king, Lin Muyu." "The Qin king? Maybe." Lin Muyu said lightly. "The Qin king. He has ascended to become a god." Are you a god?" "I think. Yes. My god." Li Sui quickly stood up to help Lin Muyu. A god shouldn't kneel to a mortal. I can't accept it, no. Lin Muyu said, humans and gods are one. There's no difference at all. Old man, I've wronged Mengye. I hope you can forgive me. But I've already killed the person who killed Mengye. I've avenged Mengye. That's good. Li Sui's voice trembled. Your Highness, you're the hero who defeated the demons. If it weren't for you, Lingnan would have become the demons' territory. You saved the world and humanity. You don't have to feel guilty about anyone. Mengye. It's her honor to die for your Highness. No, she didn't have to die for anyone. Lin Muyu bowed deeply again and said, I'll be leaving soon. Please take care, old man. Soon, the valiant Dragon Legion will send someone to pick you and Mengye's mother up to live in Lanyan City. You won't have to worry about food or clothing for the rest of your life. Thank you, Your Highness. The old man kowtowed again. When he looked up, he found that Lin Muyu had already stepped into the void and disappeared in the wind. The old man was dumbfounded. He murmured, is that a god? After forming the supreme godhead, Lin Muyu had already sensed that Qin Yin's aura was no longer in the Crimson Abyss. Even her godhead fragment had disappeared with the passage of time. There was no longer any need to stay in the Crimson Abyss. However, he heard that Tang Xiaoxi was not dead, so the most important thing was to find Tang Xiaoxi and find out what happened back then. Moreover, Tang Xiaoxi's fate was unknown, and that worried Lin Muyu. He still believed that Tang Xiaoxi would not betray Qin Yin, just like how Qin Yin believed the same. There had to be a reason for everything. After finding out from the countryside that Feng Jixing was guarding Lingnan Sunset City, Lin Muyu flew through the night towards Sunset City. Although flying consumed a lot of divine energy, it was much faster than riding a warhorse. She flew for 2,000 miles in one night, and by daybreak, she was already in the sky above Sunset City. Swoosh! He landed in the city. Sunset City was still the same as before. A group of peddlers selling sesame seed cakes and youtiao stared with their mouths agape at this person who had descended from the sky. Everyone knew that even Saint Realm experts were unable to fly. There were only two types of people who could descend from the sky. One was a birdman, and the other was a god. The young man before them was clearly the latter. Lin Muyu did not look at everyone's astonished gazes and went straight to the Sunset Palace. The Sunset Palace was still as glorious as before, but the decorations were a lot simpler. The glass palace lanterns had been moved away, and a group of soldiers wearing the Imperial Guard's military uniforms stood guard outside. When they saw Lin Muyu, they could not recognize her, but they recognized the military uniform. Sir, may I know who you are? Lin Muyu pays her respects to Prince Xian, Feng Jixing. Huh? The group of soldiers' jaws almost dropped to the ground. Lin Muyu. Qin Wang. Qin Wang. Chapter 629. The signboard of the Sunset Palace had been changed to Prince Xian's manor. In a pavilion deep in the manor, the guards had all been sent away. A person was sitting on the ground in the pavilion, and streams of divine heaven realm profound strength circled around his body. A faint golden glow appeared on the surface of his body. This was the outward appearance of a descending arhat at the 7th level of the Vajra physique. This person was none other than Feng Jixing. Huh? Feng Jixing opened his eyes abruptly. His spiritual senses had already sensed an extremely familiar aura approaching. However, it was different from the original aura. This aura was indistinct and contained a vast power source of righteousness. It seemed to be Lin Muyu's, but it was not the original Lin Muyu. Feng Jixing was stunned for a moment. He flipped over and stood up, not even taking the windslasher saber that he had placed on the tiles. With a single leap, he leaped out several tens of meters, heading straight for the outside of Prince Xian Manor. Outside the manor, a group of guards were kneeling, all of them wearing respectful expressions. Before them was Lin Muyu. For years had passed in the blink of an eye, and Lin Muyu's disposition and power had undergone a tremendous change. Even Feng Jixing could not tell how strong she was. Right now, Lin Muyu was like an abyss that had existed for 10,000 years. She did not reveal her abilities, but she was calm and composed. You. With a flash, Feng Jixing hugged his good brother. He was extremely agitated. I thought that you had already died in the Crimson Abyss. Lin Muyu smiled and said, how could that be? You. Feng Jixing let go of Lin Muyu. He could see the faint golden flowing light on the surface of Lin Muyu's body and asked, you've already stepped into the divine level? Lin Muyu nodded. That's great. Feng Jixing clenched his fists and said with a smile, the first of us 4 heroes of Lanyan to step into the divine realm has finally appeared. Needless to say, you won't ascend, right? Lin Muyu's expression was gloomy. Before I find Shao Yin, I will not ascend to the heaven realm. Big brother Feng, it's all thanks to you, otherwise, the empire would have been torn apart. Feng Jixing patted him on the shoulder. Come on, let's go in and have a few drinks. We'll talk slowly. All right. Under Feng Jixing's orders, the maids of the Wang residence quickly placed a table full of delicacies on the stone table in the courtyard. Fine wine was served and the sounds of horse hooves could be heard from outside the residence. Zhang Wei, Luo Yu, Chen Xiaoli and the rest had all heard the news and came over. Greetings, Emperor Qin. Greetings, Your Highness Prince Xian. The few generals bowed respectfully. No need for formalities, Lin Muyu said. Zhang Wei looked at Lin Muyu's calm demeanor and could not help but smile. He said, it seems that Emperor Qin has already proven his Tao and become a deity, right? Yes. Lin Muyu thought of Li Mengye who had died for her and said, it's just that my Tao is full of sacrifice and guilt. Feng Jixing said, let's not talk about those unhappy things. Since everyone is here, let's have a drink together. All right. Everyone gathered around the table. After a round of drinks, they started to talk business. Lin Muyu asked, I've been sleeping in the Crimson Abyss all these years to collect Her Highness Yin's divine power shards. I know very little about the Empire. How is it now? Luo Yu cupped his fists and said, Her Highness Yin's whereabouts are unknown, so, after we defeated the demon race, we decided on a national policy of 3 kings ruling the world. Commander Yu, you will be Emperor Qin, General Feng will be Prince Xian, and Commander Qin Yan will be Prince Zhong. In addition, we also conferred 4 dukes, namely Duke of the North Luo Xian, Duke of the South Xiang Yu, Duke of Wei Wei Chou, and Duke of Zhongzheng Yifan. In addition, there are 5 marquises, namely Su Jiantao, Bai Litsang, Tang Zhen, Yao Yuan, and Su Yu. The 3 kings rule the world, but Emperor Qin has been sleeping for 4 years. During these 4 years, Prince Xian and Prince Zhong have been ruling the north and south. Everyone is waiting for Her Highness Yin to return and rule the world. Hearing Luo Yu's last sentence, Lin Muyu could not help but be moved and said, yes, I am also waiting for the day Shao Yin returns to my side. Feng Jixing looked at him deeply and said, if Her Highness Yin knew that you have such deep feelings for her, she would definitely be very gratified, right? It's just that, it is said that Her Highness Yin has already passed away. She has the over-god's godhood and has fallen. I am afraid that it will not be easy for her to reincarnate and find her past memories. I will not give up. Lin Muyu murmured, I will definitely bring Shao Yin back to my side. What are your plans next? Feng Jixing smiled and said, Yan is guarding Lanyan City. He is well versed in martial arts, but he is quite clumsy in governing the country. Fortunately, Su Yu is assisting him, so Lanyan City can be maintained without chaos. But this is not a long-term strategy. You should return to Lanyan City to take charge of the overall situation. The Empire needs you. Before Her Highness Yin returns, you should guard this country for her. Lin Muyu did not express his opinion and asked, how is the situation with the demon race? Qianfeng has retreated to Tongtian province. He is afraid of the power of the magic crystal cannons, so he is on the defensive. Our spies are unable to enter Tongtian Gorge, so we are unable to find any news about the demon race's fairies' capital. What about Shaoxi? Is there any news about Shaoxi? I have been sleeping in the blood-red abyss for so many years, but I have not sensed the slightest trace of Shaoxi's aura. She must still be alive. Someone saw that princess. She was captured by the demon emperor and the sage master. Perhaps, Princess Shi is in the demon race's fairies' capital now, Zhang Wei said. What? Lin Muyu stood up in shock. Shaoxi is in the fairies' capital? It's just a possibility. Feng Jixing emphasized. He was afraid that Lin Muyu would be rash and charge into the demon race alone. This was not a good thing. Even though he had already stepped into the god state, if the demon emperor, the sage master, and Qianfeng joined forces, the chances of Lin Muyu winning were not high. I know, which army is in Lingdong province? Duke Wei Weichou is in charge of the Longdan army camp and is guarding Lingdong province. Yes. At this moment, Lin Muyu had already made up her mind that Lingdong province would be her home. After all, Qin Yan and Qin Yin had been guarding Lanyan City for 4 years. It would not be good if she replaced them. Moreover, Lingdong was closest to the demon race. Instead of waiting aimlessly for Qin Yin to appear, she might as well make use of this time to exterminate the demon race. Although the demon race was strong, Lin Muyu had stepped into the godly state as a supreme being. She exuded a natural domineering aura, as if the entire world was within her reach. Let me go back to Lanyan City with you first. Feng Jixing said, many people want to see you. Yao, Yan, Su Yu, Great Deacon Guyang, and the others have all been worried about you for 4 years. You should go back to Lanyan City first and announce to the world that the Qin Queen, Lin Muyu, has returned. This will also make the people's hearts lean towards you, right? Okay. Lin Muyu was not in a hurry. She nodded and said, we will set off after this drink. Help me find a fast horse. No need. I have kept your mount, treading snow, with me. Now that she is fully grown, she is very fast and can be said to be the best horse in the world. I will bring her to you later. Really? That's great. To Lin Muyu, treading snow was very special. Treading snow was born from Tang Xiaoxi's mount, Snow Pear, and it was given to her by Qin Yin. It was very meaningful. Qin Yin disappeared in the sky above the crimson abyss and did not leave anything for her. Treading snow was one of them. After eating and drinking, Feng Jixing arranged 1,000 light cavalrymen to escort him and Lin Muyu to Lingbei province. In fact, these guards were unnecessary. After all, between Feng Jixing and Lin Muyu, one was in the Saint Heaven realm and the other was in the first heaven of the God state. In the whole continent, only they could bully others. Who would dare to bully them? Zhang Wei, Luo Yu, and the others were left to guard Lingnan. In addition, Lin Muyu ordered Zhang Wei to personally lead hundreds of cavalrymen to Beiling City to pick up Li Mengye's grandfather and mother. They would settle down in Lanyan City and make good arrangements. This was what he owed Li Mengye. Even though he could not make up for it, at least he could feel at ease. In the blood-red abyss, a wisp of soul slowly floated in the air. It was Li Mengye's soul. The little girl's body gradually grew and matured, turning into Qin Yin's appearance. Her memories returned to her high like a clear spring. Looking at the lush forest, Qin Yin suddenly let out a painful cry. She already knew that the Immortal not long ago was Lin Muyu. Her heart was filled with unwillingness. It would be good if she could call him, but unfortunately, she could not do it. Fate played tricks on people. Bang! A blood-red door suddenly opened in the air. Two ferocious-looking gods rushed out. One was holding a pipa, and the other was holding a spear. They shouted, "Qin Yin, the time for reincarnation has come. What are you still waiting for?" Qin Yin looked at them with her eyes wide open. She was very scared. "You? Who are you?" "The two of us are the people who will escort you to reincarnation. I am Qin Ming, and he is Yu Wu. We are the gods of reincarnation in the heaven realm. Come with us. Your next reincarnation is about to begin." "No, I won't go. I want to stay here." Qin Yin shook her head repeatedly. Her beautiful face was full of tears. She said, "I can't. I can't leave brother Yu alone in this world." Qin Ming's eyes flashed with a hint of respect. He said, "Lin Muyu has the sovereign latent personality. He will be one of the future rulers of the heaven realm. You don't need to worry about his future. You should worry about yourself. In the 6 paths of reincarnation, each has its own Tao. Your first reincarnation was achieved by sacrificing yourself. You have passed the test. However, there are still 5 more reincarnations. Once you pass all of them, you will be able to re-establish the sovereign latent personality. Cut the crap. Come with us." Qin Ming suddenly plucked the strings. Suddenly, a sound wave rushed straight at Qin Yin. "You!" Qin Yin opened her palm. A golden light shot up into the sky. A heaven dragon crystal flew straight at Qin Ming. Boom! Although Qin Yin's overgod godhead was already broken, the broken godhead was still extremely powerful. It actually forced Qin Ming to retreat continuously. Qin Ming flew into a rage out of humiliation and said, "For hundreds of thousands of years, I have absorbed countless souls, but I have never seen a soul as powerful as yours. Very well, I will show you the power of my 9 demons array. Yu Wu, get ready to capture her." "Yes." Qin Ming suddenly plucked the strings. Suddenly, the sound wave spread out in all directions. Rays of golden Xian energy emerged around Qin Yin. They were like ropes binding her tightly. Qin Yin struggled with all her might. The giant heaven dragon crystal guarded her body. However, she was still no match for the power of a god. The heaven dragon crystal shattered. At this time, Yu Wu thrust the spear in his hand. The bells around the spear shook violently. In a blink of an eye, Qin Yin's soul was sucked into the spear. Then, he swung the spear and Qin Yin fell into the darkness. Lights and shadows flew everywhere. Qin Yin was terrified. She saw birds and fishes appearing in the tunnel. She could hear the bellows of elephants and the roars of lions and tigers. One of the 6 paths, the animal path. Chapter 630. Her body turned into a beam of light and passed through countless stars like a meteor. Qin Yin could no longer see anything clearly. She could only hear the roars of beasts, the sound of fish swimming in the water, and the sound of eagles flapping their wings. After an unknown amount of time, a thick fog suddenly appeared in front of her. After passing through the fog, she saw countless animals roaring on the ground, and the beam of light that Qin Yin had turned into shot into the body of a green bird with a whoosh. Boom! Qin Yin's eye felt like it was about to explode. When she opened her eyes again, she was surrounded by darkness. She tried to use her palms to touch the space in front of her, but it seemed that she had lost her palms. What replaced them was a pair of tender wings. Her sharp beak involuntarily pecked at the hard shell in front of her. With a snap, a beam of light shone in. At this moment, she understood that she had already reincarnated into a bird. Coo, coo, outside the eggshell, a huge bird was right in front of her, looking at her with loving eyes. It was a cyan swan, a bird that was good at fighting in the air. An adult cyan swan could even kill a goshawk that was larger than itself. In the sky, apart from dragons, cyan swans were the overlords of birds. At this moment, a hissing sound came from not far away. It was a giant python with spots all over its body. It was a flower iron python, a highly poisonous python and one of the overlords of the jungle. Kiki, Mother Green Swan, screamed loudly, slapping hard with her wings and pecking hard at the flower iron python with her beak. However, the scales of the flower iron python were very thick, and it was a flower iron python that was more than 3,400 years old. It had become one of the spirit beasts, and Mother Green Swan had no cultivation at all. Obviously, she was no match for it. Hiss! The flower iron python abruptly bit Jianghu's mother's leg and dragged her with its body. Jianghu's mother screamed in agony, and her eyes were filled with love and pity when she looked at Jianghu before she died. Jianghu whimpered. The last memory and consciousness disappeared with the death of Mother Green Swan. At this moment, she forgot who she was again. All she knew was that she was a bird. Hiss! The flower iron python swallowed Mother Green Swan in a few bites, then slithered its huge body closer. The little cyan swan struggled out of the eggshell, but there was nothing it could do. It could only look at the giant creature in horror. Whoosh! Arrows whistled through the air, piercing through the flower iron python's head. The big guy let out a muffled groan and slid down the tree, landing in front of a group of people. These people were all wearing military uniforms. Their uniforms were covered with armor, and their collars were adorned with shining golden stars. One of them got off his horse and kicked the flower iron python's body. He said with a smile, "Duke Wei's archery skills are truly one of the best in the world. To think that this 3,000-year-old spirit beast couldn't even withstand a single shot from you. Ha ha ha." The one riding on the warhorse was none other than Wei Chou. He put away his demon-devouring bow and said, "I didn't think that there would be such a venomous python in the bitter cold of Lingdong province. When we return to camp, tell the people in the spirit fire department to be careful not to be attacked by the python. This 3,000-year-old spirit beast python eats people." Yes. At this time, Situ-san looked up at the tree branch and said, "Duke Wei, there seems to be a nestling on the tree." "Oh? General Sun, go and take it down." "Okay, then you have to treat me to a drink." "Bah, I asked you to take a bird's nest, and you want a free meal. I really look down on you." "Ha." Situ-san jumped onto the tree trunk, held the bird's nest, looked at the young green gourd, and said with a smile, "This is a newborn cyan swan. What should we do? Stew it tonight? It won't be enough." Situ Shui couldn't help but laugh and said, "Brother, that's enough. Quickly take down the cyan swan. This cyan swan is a rare bird. It flies fast and is aggressive. As long as it is trained well, not only can it serve as a messenger bird to deliver letters, but it can also be a bird of prey to intercept and kill messenger birds. Why, sister, do you want to raise it?" Situ-san jumped down and handed the bird's nest to Situ Shui. "TSK, look how cute it is." Situ Shui teased the little bird and said with a smile, "Duke Wei, give this cyan swan to me. I want to raise it." Wei Chou waved his hand and said, "General Shui, if you want to raise it, then raise it. Anyway, you have the final say. I can't stop you if you want to raise it. Anyway, since Commander Yu fell into a deep sleep in the bloody abyss, you and your sister have become lawless. Just don't raise a mammoth in the camp." Huh, look at what you said. Mammoths have a big appetite, we can't afford to feed them. Heh, let's go back. Today's hunt is over. It seems that there are no traces of the demon race within 50 miles of the steel wall. Qianfeng has decided to stay dormant. Well, that grandson, Humph, Wei Chou turned over and mounted the horse. He pulled the reins and turned back to look in the direction of the bloody abyss in the southwest. He couldn't help but sigh and said, I don't know when the Lord will wake up. If the Lord wakes up, we can launch a counterattack. Yeah, my star's secret art has been stagnant. No one can guide me. Although Wei Chou was already regarded as one of the famous generals in the world, he still didn't dare to underestimate the enemy and advance rashly. The 200,000 Longdan army camp equipped with excellent magic crystal cannons didn't dare to enter Tongtian province. The only reason was that he was afraid of the scheming Qianfeng and the demon emperor. In front of a real commander like Qianfeng, Wei Chou still lacked confidence. Otherwise, he would have attacked long ago. The weather in June was slightly sultry, but Lanyan City was increasingly prosperous. Carriages of rare minerals and cloth were being transported into the city. The Zine Flower Merchant Association's flag was hung on the carriages, making them very eye-catching. Jin Xiaotang personally led a group of guards to the city gates to welcome them. This batch of resources was too important to the Zine Flower Merchant Association. Lin Muyu had been in a deep sleep for 4 years, so there was no one to provide the Zine Flower Merchant Association with top-notch weapons, medicines, and weapon embryos. As a result, Jin Xiaotang had to take on everything by herself. Xiaotang didn't cultivate martial arts. After 4 years, she had turned from a little girl who had just grown up into a charming lady from a wealthy family. She wore a fiery red pomegranate dress and looked slender and elegant. She was like a beautiful scenery outside Lanyan City's southern gate. Just then, a group of cavalry galloped over from the main road in the south. The flag-bearer was holding a flag of Lingnan's Sunset City. They were the people from Lingnan. Jin Xiaotang frowned and said, Are there people from Lingnan again? I remember that His Highness Prince Xian had just left not long ago. A guard at the side said, Miss Xiaotang, Lingnan is half of the empire. It's normal for them to have close relations with Lingbei. But look, that person wearing a golden cloak seems to be a prince. It's General Feng who has come personally. Oh. Jin Xiaotang's eyes narrowed as she smiled and said, Then what are we waiting for? Let's go over and welcome him. If we serve His Highness Prince Xian well, the prices of Lingnan's rations and food will be reduced by at least 20%. Alright, we'll head over right away. The Zine Flower Merchant Association was a business that belonged to Lin Muyu, and Feng Jixing was naturally familiar with Jin Xiaotang. When Jin Xiaotang went up to welcome them, Feng Jixing couldn't help but smile. Oh, it's Miss Xiaotang. This commoner pays her respects to His Highness Prince Xian. There's no need to stand on ceremony. This time around, I've brought you a big surprise. Oh, what big surprise? Jin Xiaotang smiled and said, Could it be that it's 100 million caddies of Lingnan's premium rations? No, it's a living person. A living person? Jin Xiaotang was puzzled. Just then, a person galloped over from the back of the group and asked, Big Brother Feng, why has the group stopped? When he appeared before Jin Xiaotang in the white imperial forest armor, Jin Xiaotang was stunned. Tears gushed out from her eyes as she dashed forward and threw herself into Lin Muyu's embrace. The little girl was really strong, pouncing Lin Muyu off the battle horse. However, it was fortunate that he was a god. Streams of golden light appeared under his feet, allowing him to carry Jin Xiaotang and hover in midair. His cloak fluttered slowly, appearing extremely handsome. Oh, which clan's young lady is this? Lin Muyu smiled and asked. Jin Xiaotang waved her fists and hit his chest while crying, Big brother, you you've been gone for so long. Many people have said that you've died in Lingnan. I've gone to the Crimson Abyss to see you once, but I couldn't find you. You. Why are you only back now? Lin Muyu also knew that Jin Xiaotang must have had a hard time holding on for the past 4 years. She lovingly stroked Jin Xiaotang's long hair and said, "Hey, aren't I back now? I have something to do, so I can't come back early. Don't blame me, Xiaotang." Don't blame me, don't blame me." Jin Xiaotang wiped away her tears and realized that she was being held by Lin Muyu by the waist. They were hovering in midair and she was instantly shocked. We're flying? Yes, is it that strange? Lin Muyu smiled and slowly landed on the ground. Feng Jixing said, "Miss Xiaotang, you now, is a person with God state cultivation, he's a genuine god." Huh? Jin Xiaotang couldn't help but blush. Then I'm being hugged by a god, Lin Muyu. Feng Jixing, the spirit medicine division was very quiet in the afternoon. A group of medicine refiners were busy in the medicine refinery hall, and some other staff members were sorting and storing the medicine that had been refined. Chu Yao was wearing the spirit medicine division's Grand Deacon's robe, and she was counting the number of boxes filled with medicine. These medicines were to be sent to the various armies of the empire, so she couldn't be careless. Whoosh! Suddenly, a burning sensation came from behind her. Chu Yao instinctively turned around and flipped her index finger. Suddenly, a beam of starlight fell from the sky and landed on the place she was pointing at. Buzz, a golden divine power barrier appeared, forcibly deflecting the star-seizing finger's power. It wasn't damaged in the slightest. After the golden light dissipated, a familiar figure appeared in front of Chu Yao. Big Sister Chu Yao. You. Chu Yao's body trembled, and she couldn't speak. Lin Muyu walked up to her and hugged her tightly. You're tuning in to the Unparalleled SwordWill YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.